right, we are back with the Great Ace Attorney 2, the second one in the collection. I've done a little bit of quality of life stuff here and there. I found a really good 60 FPS patch for the game, so that'll probably, hopefully, I mean, of course, make things look a lot smoother. Not sure if that will be so on the stream's end, but it will be on my end at the least. And yeah, besides that, you know, it's been about 5-6 days since we last went into this wild case. So how about we go right back in as if there wasn't a big break in between everything. All right. Here we are back at the old attic. Whew. We made it back in one piece. Just. To be perfectly honest, I thought we were finished there for a while. Oh yeah, the whole trial with Mr. Shamspear and the soap and the fake money.
Oh, I know. What a lot of close shaves. There are so many carriages on the streets of London. You were very nearly flattened several times.
Oh, no, I didn't mean that.
Yes, I know. It was a marvelous defense, Naruhodo-san. It really was. I was in awe of you.
Oh, thank you.
And now that your fervent exploits have won us some more precious investigation time, let's see if we can't find some new clues for court tomorrow.
Yeah, let's do that.
Is everything all right?
I suppose. I still can't quite believe it, that's all. That I'm here in England, working as a lawyer, I mean. In the Old Bailey, no less. The truth is, it shouldn't be me, should it? It should be him standing in my shoes. It should be Kazuma.
It was Kazuma-sama's wish that you follow him to Great Britain and work alongside him.
Yeah, I mean, I never had the chance to ask him exactly why, but he clearly had a plan. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him.
And you're doing wonderfully, Naruhodo-san. I've no doubt that Kazuma-sama would say exactly the same if he were here with us.
Aww. Thank you, Sasato-san. Thank you. God, Sasato really is just the best. Anyway, let me see that shovel. Yeah. Perhaps we should put this spade away somewhere.
That's not a spade, Naruhodo-san. It's a shovel.
No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade.
No, spades are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a shovel.
Well, it doesn't really matter, does it?
You're so right, Naruhodo-san. So true. We mustn't quarrel over such trifles.
On reflection, then, I think I'll leave this spade where it is.
Yes, I think that's for the best. We may need a shovel when we're working in the garden.
God, it is really just slightly disorienting seeing it in 60 FPS now. Ever so slightly. I mean, it's nice. I'm very happy that nothing is, like, fucking up because of that. But man, it's kind of weird after, like, 40 hours of playing in 30 FPS. What's going on down here?
Oh, Bruno and Susie! Hooray, you're back!
Hey, Iris. How you been? How'd you sleep? How's your life?
Hello, Iris. You're in fine spirits as always, I see. I am, and you look as immaculately presented as ever, Susie. Oh, you flatter me. Well, you couldn't have come at a better time. I've just made a pot of tea. I'll set some cups.
Really? Thanks, Iris. But actually, what's that foul smell? Aha! The Wanderers return at last. Where on earth have the pair of you been? We've been in court? Hurley, please. Oh, for Mr. Mustache's case? That was today, was it? Yeah.
I'm sure I mentioned it only yesterday, Mr. Sholmes.
I'm sure you think you did. Well, we can laugh about it now. So tell me, how did the trial go? Reasonably well so far. We managed to escape without a guilty verdict, at least. Really, I would have liked to see it. and I must pass the time of day with Mr. Reaper again. It's been far too long. Is Lord Van Zeeks an acquaintance, Mr. Sholmes? Naturally. There's not a person in the world who doesn't know my name, Mr. Naruhodo. Not quite what I asked, but still.
Mr. Sholmes, whatever is that odor?
Yeah, what is it? It's faint, but absolutely awful. Ah, indeed, that's the scent of victory, my dear fellows. Victory in science!
Oh dear.
Alright, I'll bite. What's he up to now? Sholmesy? Well, first let's talk about Zeeks, since it's first on the list. That's just how we work around here. Lord Beric Van Zeeks. Yes, it's an interesting sobriquet he has, isn't it? The Reaper of the Bailey. Once the legendary prosecutor has fought for someone's conviction, that person is doomed. Even if he or she is found not guilty by the courts, sooner or later the hapless soul will vanish from the capital. But vanish how exactly? By falling under a passing carriage or drowning in the Thames, or succumbing to a sudden fever, or quite out of the blue becoming set upon by a highwayman. There are numerous routes to one's final terminus, my dear fellow. It all seems a little far-fetched, really. Well, on the bright side, Mr. Mustache is fighting fit. For the time being, at least. That's not overly reassuring.
If the rumors are true, though, the obvious conclusion would surely be that those acquitted are, well, by Lord Van Zeeks' own hand.
As it happens, Mr. Sato, that is quite impossible.
Oh? Why?
Naturally, the man very quickly came under such suspicion. However, whenever these incidents occurred, the Reaper always had a cast-iron alibi. Really? And so his reign continued. But 5 years ago, he vanished from the courts, never to appear as a prosecutor again. That is, until you arrived in the country, Mr. Naruhodo. Yeah, so I've heard. In fact, it was the very day I arrived when I was thrust into that trial at the Old Bailey. That bitter fight to the death coincided with the Reaper's resurrection, and really did end bitterly. And here you are, facing Mr. Reaper again.
Well, Bruno, I don't know if you're just incredibly unlucky or incredibly unlikable.
I think it goes deeper than just me. I sense a general loathing of all Japanese people. Yeah, he does sort of have that, how to put this delicately, racist aura about him. Also, Hilo Doggle. Japanese, what a topic. Let's do foul smell first. So, what is that indescribably foul smell? Ah, well, most probably this, I would say. What is that? My dear fellow, it is of course my latest invention. A chemical test that can identify whether or not a tea is genuine at the drop of some tea.
Oh my!
There are some unscrupulous sorts manning the stalls along some of London's less frequented streets. They regularly sell what purports to be high-quality tea, but it is in fact merely dyed leaves of drab flavor. Well, that's certainly unsavory behavior. So, when one is presented with what appears to be black tea, one must be careful. Iris?
At the ready, Hurley.
Let us add a drop of my chemical to this cup of tea here, and you see what happens. Oh shit, it turned into toxic sludge.
It turned completely black. And what a foul odor it's giving off.
Indeed, the blacker the tea becomes and the more foul the odor, the better the tea is. It would appear that this cup was a particularly fine Darjeeling. That's very ingenious, but what do you do with that black liquid now? Why, dispose of it naturally. Surely you wouldn't like to drink it, would you?
There does seem to be a rather obvious problem with your new invention, Mr. Sholmes.
Hence why this chemical test is merely a test, my dear madam. Right. The point is, we are entering a new era of science, in the world of criminal investigation also.
Yes, forensic science. Oh, these are such exciting times.
I regularly engage in this scientific experimentation alongside my unofficial consulting detective work. The Sherlock-Holmes method will be the foundation upon which modern investigative technique is based. This little tea indicant was a happy byproduct of my ongoing forensic science research. Forensic science? I suppose I should find out more about that. Man, he loves to talk. We're just flip-flopping all over the place, huh? With Mr. Natsume, who I'm currently defending, being Japanese as well as Mrs. Sato and myself, I felt it even more keenly in court today. For some reason, Lord Van Zeek seems to have an inherent disdain of the Japanese. Indeed, it is an interesting observation.
Do you know something about it? Do you, Mr. Sholmes?
It was about 10 years ago that Beric Van Zeek chose to enter the legal profession. However, before that time, the young man's closest companion hailed from the Empire of Japan. Oh? No! What the? Tell us more, Mr. Sholmes! What happened? I believe I've made it clear before. I'm unable to tell you anything about the affair.
Oh, but I...
Come on. Just a little drip of tea? Like the drip that we used to test for whatever the fuck we were testing before? I need to focus and not just be like, ooh, ah, pretty 60 FPS patch. The veil will be lifted on the events of the past in due course, I have no doubt. For now, however, it is Mr. Mustache who is most deserving of your attention, I believe. Fair enough. So, your tea test, is that an example of forensic science? Indeed it is. Bring! An essential tool in cases that hinges on the knowledge of whether some tea is of high or inferior quality. Not a huge number of cases, then. Perhaps a more practical example is required. Fingerprints? Not yet accepted in our courts as evidence, I might add. Really, we are dragging our heels there. I hadn't even heard of them until recently. Which is partly why I undertake research in this field myself, of course.
Does that mean you're studying fingerprints, Mr. Sholmes?
There are others in that field already, and I abhor the company of inferior minds. No, what I am researching is skin prints. Skin prints? Nomenclature of my own design, as is this chemical agent that makes it possible. It instantly reveals objects touched by whichever person is under investigation.
Brilliant, Mr. Sholmes!
As long as it doesn't turn everything completely odorous and black. I assure you, my dear fellows, you will witness my forensic talents in action very soon indeed. The ballistic markings of skin, god damn it. Well, I think we should go back to the scene and see if we can uncover any new clues.
That's the spirit, Runo. See you later.
Yes, until later. No, Mr. Sholmes, we were thinking you'd come with us? You were? Yes, of course! You said so just a minute ago! You said we'd witness your forensic talents in action. Ah, yes, I do recall saying something along those lines. But you go on ahead. I shall be sure to follow you later, in all likelihood. Probably. Maybe. Well, I might. Your commitment astounds me.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Sholmes. We'll eagerly await your arrival. Bye-bye, Runo. Bye-bye, Susie.
Did I examine the, blackboard like I always do? Ah, yes, this is where you note down ideas, isn't it, Iris? So, what's on the blackboard today? Buck up, Runo. What is this?
Oh, I'm just playing around with the ideas for the title of next month's installment. With one L. Is that a British thing or a typo thing? Probably the latter. Another idea I had was the barrel coronet. I'm really torn about which one to use. What do you think, Runo?
Anything but buck up Runo, obviously.
I suppose you're right. I tell you what, I'll surprise you with it. You'll have to wait until next month and see.
So many sleepless nights. What's in her garbage? Oh, we can't see what's in the garbage. Okay. Can we check out my screen, by the way? Yeah, something's in the back of my throat. Let me hydrate real quick. Oh, excuse me.
What do you suppose is happening?
It sounds like some sort of disturbance. Yeah, I hear angry voices. Be not angry, O ample lady. Verily thou art mistaken. Oh god, this clown again.
Mistaken, my foot! You were looking at my painting!
The eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen. 'Twas foul indeed, the poison that mustache villain gaveth me. Forgive me, lady.
I wish you died from that poison!
You're not the only one who wishes that. God a mercy, ample lady, but thou seest I have vigor still. Behold my Shakespeare dance. Look at him fucking go. What a clown.
This looks rather ominous, doesn't it?
He's always smiling, God. Ah, lo, 'tis the lawyer from the land whence riseth the sun. Now, how now? What are you doing here, Mr. Shakespeare? Mary, I do believe I am returned unto another world.
He was looking, that's what he was doing, looking at my terrible work.
Eastern fellow, so darkly clad. Faith, thy work in court this morning was wonderful. I do applaud thee. Oh, well, thank you. But that doesn't mean things will go so wonderfully for you tomorrow, does it? You good? I mean, I get we're trying to prove the guy who allegedly, quote-unquote, poisoned you innocent, but still. Anon, excellent! Woo! There he goes. Mr. Shakespeare might technically be the victim in this case, but there definitely is a lot more to it than that. It's very hard to pin the man down.
I'm so sorry, I'm such an awful person.
Ah, Miss Green, is everything alright?
Oh yeah, I mean, don't worry about me. They're about to discharge me, so I must get ready to leave now.
Oh, I see.
We're delighted that you'll soon be well enough to go home, Miss Green. Oh dear, you're too kind. I don't deserve it.
Anything else to talk about, or? So, are you feeling more like yourself today, Miss Green?
I am. Thank you. I mean, people do recover from ordeals like this, don't they? Even people like me.
Well, yeah, it really was an ordeal, wasn't it?
As far as I was concerned, I was just walking along in the snow one evening, minding my own business. And then, completely out of the blue, I was struck in the back by a knife and collapsed unconscious for days. Of course, when I finally woke up again yesterday, the whole business had been cleared up. What a terrible week it's been for you. Oh no, I'm sure I'm very lucky, really. I'll look back on this fondly.
Really?
Anyway, I must be getting my things together now, so I'm ready to be discharged.
Oh yeah, of course. Sorry to take up your time when you're obviously busy. Okie dokie. If there's nothing else to do, I'll be on my way. Get a Dip's room. No. Shakespeare's room is the place. Right, we can use that T-testing thing that Sholmes has on the thingy and whatever if he lets us. Oh, hello again, Inspector Gregson. Yeah, what are you doing here? Well, we were hoping to have another look around, actually.
The lawyer representing the defendant has a right to examine the scene, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah, I know the score. Oh, yes, one other thing. The soap on the ledge outside the window. Did you find it with the tea in it? Yeah, we found it all right, and there was a small amount of tea in it, as you said. I knew it! It's with the identification section at the yard now. They're looking into it. The results should be available later today.
That's wonderful news. Thank you.
Pretty impressive performance in court this morning. Sorry? Nothing. Forget it. Just to make sure you don't disturb anything in here, eh? Hey, Hurley. Glad to see you actually did make it. Mr. Sholmes, what are you up to over there? What a question indeed. Was it not your good self who asked me to attend the scene? Oi! What are you doing here, Sholmes? What are you up to over there? What are you doing here? Dear me, once a great detective, one is always under scrutiny, it seems.
Is now the time, Mr. Sholmes? Are you about to show us your forensic talents in action as you promised?
With the greatest of pleasures, my dear madam. Hell yeah, let's go. Show me the stuff. What's all this? All this is precisely what you requested, Mr. Naruhodo. Sherlock Sholmes' sensational skin print seeker gun. Moments ago, I took a sample from the teacup that was used by the victim. A sample from Mr. Shamspeare's cup? Each individual leaves microscopic secretions on everything he or she touches. A sample of those secretions is all I need to produce this, a refined indicator solution. By liberally spraying the room with this chemical, everything the victim touched is instantly revealed with the aid of these goggles. Here, try them all. There, now spray the chemical indicator about and all will be revealed. Spray? How do I do that exactly? A little press of A on the area you're interested in is all that's required. Like this. What is that stuff? A suspension of the chemical indicator and a pressurized gas. It's the most efficient way to cover a large area. That was another invention I discovered, incidentally, whilst I was developing this idea. As you do. Go ahead, try it, my dear fellow, try it! We may learn something interesting about the victim's movements on the night in question. Well, there's nothing to lose, I suppose. Let's explore. Mr. Naruhodo, don't just spray it everywhere. Come on now. There's a very limited... Look, there are dozens of handprints here. So there are, a great many indeed. So much so that it's hard to make out any one individual, in fact.
It sends a chill down my spine. Perhaps he was leaning against the wall while he admired this picture?
Hey, wait, how are you seeing this, Sasato? I thought I was the one wearing the funny goggles.
Unlikely, I would say. It's a rather dull scene, after all. And without wishing to state the obvious, you wouldn't generally admire a picture from such close quarters, I feel.
Oh, very true, Mr. Sato. It's a bit of a mystery, then. Anything down here? Anything over there? Oh, yeah, I need to whoop ever so slightly. Get onto the stage. Get on the stage! Anything else? I feel like it's supposed to tell me something, like when I've sprayed everything. Most likely. Oh wait, this cloth too. Ah! Oh, look at all this here. Ah yes, interesting. A multitude of the victim's handprints. Why are there so many of them on the floor in this one spot? Oh, perhaps he had a bad fall just here? There's nothing obvious that he would have tripped over though, is there? I wonder. Personally, I often stumble when there's nothing obvious to trip over.
I think that's something only a great detective would do, Mr. Sholmes.
Well, this is quite a puzzle. Handprints all over the floor. Yeah, there's no obvious explanation. Is that it then? Okay. Interesting way to bring back Emma's little mechanic, I guess. Well, we sprayed Mr. Sholmes' amazing skin print indicator all over this room, didn't we?
We did, but there's two places in particular that are of interest, I would say.
The handprints on the floor there, and on the wall by the picture, you mean?
Yes, and I think the floor warrants closer investigation. I won't be a moment. Ah! What is it, Mr. Sato? Look here, Mr. Naruhodo. One of the floorboards has popped out. One of the... You mean... It's a secret hiding place?
Excellent work, Mr. Sato. So, what do we have in here? Oi! What do you lot doing, eh?
Inspector Gregson!
Stand aside right this minute. It's my job to investigate there. No need, Inspector. You continue to dig into your portion of chips whilst we dig around under the floor here. Your fancy talk's putting me off of my food anyway, Sholmes. A new bit of evidence is exactly what I need, eh?
Wow, a secret hiding place under the floor. What a find! It's not a hiding place you can make use of in Japan. I don't think I could lift a straw tatami mat.
No, I know, but I never expected one of these wooden floorboards to move either. It's got me wondering about the wall over there, too. Aren't you curious?
Oh! I'll investigate it once!
God fucking banger soundtrack, man.
There's nothing behind the picture, sadly. Only the wall.
How disappointing. But then, how do you explain the handprints? Speaking of music, I hope everything is, hope everything sounds good. Hope the audio is nice and balanced. I got a new pop filter, so now my P's won't be, like, bass boosted, hopefully. I think that's how that works.
I can't really think why anyone would have been touching the wall over and over in one place like that.
Click. Plosives. There you are, a print for you. The photograph of the handprints on the wall has been entered into the court record. Let's go.
Oh, thank you very much. His invention can make prints too?
Speaking of which, I should probably look at my evidence. Okay, we got, yeah, the book receipt, which was Le Coq Gabriel, Canterbury Yearnings. The street map. This envelope. Did we ever examine that? Whoever opened this envelope didn't bother with a letter opener, huh?
Yeah, whoever opened it was clearly someone with an unrefined temperament. And judging from the angle of the rip here, the person in question must have been right-handed. I think perhaps someone's been reading too much of the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. You can never read too much of it, Mr. Naruhodo. Never!
Damn. Okay, we looked at the teacups, the soap, the photograph. We did all that last time. But I'm just refreshing myself since it's been like a few days. The gas meter, which had like the hole in it and like all the soap shit. And now, this. Interesting. Now then, I wonder if Inspector Gregson has found anything under the floor there. I'm desperate to know.
So am I.
Bro, I'm just crouching here, not really pulling anything. You know how it be. The ill-fated teacups from which the two men drank on the ill-fated night.
During their heated literary debate, yes.
Who's stronger, Romeo or Juliet? It sounds like it was quite a discussion.
Now I think of it, I'm sure the two lovers in the play ended their lives with poison.
That's fiction, Mrs. Sato. Let's hope it stays that way. Ugh. If you ran out of change, you wouldn't even have any light, let alone heat. For the needy, London's winters can be very harsh.
That's true, but if you think about it, even the wealthy would find themselves freezing if they ran out of small change.
London's winters can be very harsh for the forgetful too, then. Frankly, I'm starting to wonder if Sasato-san and I are going to make it to spring.
That's true. We don't even have a meter at Baker Street, let alone a gas stove.
Shit. Look how dark the stain on the floor is underneath the meter there.
Yeah, from all the water dripping out after the ice coins melted, as you established in court.
It's a very large and obvious stain, isn't it?
Mr. Shakespeare must have used an awful lot of ice coins, I suppose.
It was an ingenious idea, I'll give him that. Okay. Greggy! What you find? I'd love to know if there's anything hidden underneath that floorboard there. Allow me to ask Gregson now. After all, we're well acquainted. Inspector Gregson! Really, it's been too long. What is it, Sholmes? I thought perhaps you might show me what you found there, seeing as we're such good friends. We're not friends. No, I suppose not. Damn. A dismal failure. Yeah, I heard. I'd kill to know what was under that floorboard. Alright then, fair is fair. What? You did discover the hiding place after all. I suppose I should at least fill you in. Really, Inspector? Thank you. Do it quickly, my dear fellow. If there's one thing I know about this man, it's that he blows with the wind, as fickle as the weather. Oi, stop making me out to be some kind of nut. There were 3 items under the floor there. A newspaper clipping, a photographic print, and a tin box. Now, what do you want to know? Let's start from the top. Looks like this was the cut of the paper about 3 months ago. It's about a convict who got sick and died while he was serving up time in Manchester. How terrible. He made the headlines down here in London as well. The bloke had been sentenced to death, you see, but nature got him first. Oh my goodness, he'd committed a capital offense? Man by the name of Selden. Nasty piece of work into burglaries and murder. They say the hoard he'd knocked off was worth about £1,000. A hoard? Of treasure, you mean? Jewelry and the like, but he'd hidden it somewhere and no one knows where. And now he's dead. The papers loved it, of course. £1,000 lost en route to hell, or some such was the headline. Does it not strike you, though? Why such an article be so carefully ensconced on the floor? I suppose now you mention it, it does seem a bit odd. Perhaps I'll go over the paperwork we've got on sale in back of the yard and see if I can turn anything up. A newspaper about Selden, a criminal sentenced to receive the death penalty. However, he died of illness in prison whilst his loot remained undiscovered. Wrong button. Manchester Strangeway Prison announced the death of convicted murderer and burglar Selden by natural causes in the early hour this morning. He had been suffering with fever since the end of October. Allured by the shouts of his fellow cellmate, medical staff arrived to find him already dead before his capital punishment could be carried out. Damn. So this is the photograph I found. Looks reasonably recent to me. Oh, hey. Yes, it would appear to have been taken on the street in front of the house here. And the gentleman on the left is Mr. Garadeb, the landlord, of course. But who's the young man on the right? Mr. Garadeb's son, perhaps? No, I think I got an inkling. Perhaps. You can take that print if you like. Really? Are you sure? We can presume, therefore, that the yard already knows. The identity of the young fellow, that is. Duh! Is that true? Well, it's too bad if we do. Unfortunately for you lot, leaking information isn't one of my pastimes. My dear Inspector, if I may be so bold as to point something out. Pastimes are for one's leisure, but this is for work. Ooh. All the more reason I'm not telling you. A dismal failure. Yes, I heard. It shows Mr. Garadeb together with a young man. I wonder why a photograph like this was hidden under the floor. I'm just saying, the art materials, the bob cut, looks like somebody else we know. I mean, Mr. Shakespeare himself isn't in it. Photographic prints are still rare treasures in the East End. I imagine Mr. Garadeb was rather delighted to have been immortalized. He probably made a proud present of it. Alright, tell me, what's in the box? Now this box looks interesting, doesn't it? Yeah, you fucking bet, man. Might I suggest, Inspector, that you open it? If you were to find something inside that reveals the truth behind this case, I wouldn't be the least surprised. Yeah, funnily enough, I've already had a look. It's a completely empty. What? Shakespeare, give us a clue, man!
You didn't even have the chance to utter a word, Mr. Naruhodo. But anyway, at least we found out what's inside the box.
Yeah, thin air. It's empty, rather like how I feel inside. Mood. Is there nothing more to this box then? I wonder. Meow. Oh heck. Kitty.
Oh, look, it's that lovely little kitty cat. What was his name?
It's Mr. Natsume's, isn't it? I don't think we've ever asked him, actually. Why don't we call it, Wagahai? You know, like Mr. Natsume refers to himself in Japanese. I wonder how he got in here. Clever cat.
Oh, wonderful. Well then, Wagahai, here's something delicious I bought for you from the cat's meat man.
Meow. Well, I don't need to voice the meows. They're already doing it. It's fine. But it's fun. Good cat.
He couldn't be happier now. Look.
I just hope he can bring some happiness to his owner, too. Alright, is there anything else to look at here? I guess besides the cat? If not, I'll move on, but, you know. Hey, buddy. That was a cheeky little meow, Wagahai.
Oh, but he's so adorable. I could sit and watch him forever.
I think he may not appreciate that after a while. We have an investigation to get back to. Alright, fair enough. Alright, yeah, I investigated the gas. I did not re-investigate the soap. Maybe there's something there, I don't know.
So it turns out that Mr. Shamster wasn't eating the soap at all.
Yes, we've established that. That's right. The mystery of why he had it on a plate while holding a fork in his hand is solved.
Yes, to prize his latest ice coin out of its mold. And in the process, he accidentally broke the bar of soap in two.
It certainly was hard to imagine, let alone deduce. Oh yeah, we didn't reinvestigate the window. Sun never shines in this room, thanks to that depressing bricked-up window.
Yet with enough determination, you can always remove the bricks that set some soap outside, can't you?
That sounds like a very wise life lesson, Mr. Sato.
Only if you plan to follow a life of crime, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yeah, fair enough. Alright, anything else around here? I suppose not. Let's go to the Gyarados, I guess. I don't know if they'll have anything useful, but you know, they're technically part of this case. Oh yeah, we can present that photo to him. Mr. Gyarados appears to be out. Shit. Okay, later then. Oh well, I suppose we'll just have to come back again later. Photo clipping. Right. I need to examine, do I need to examine that more, or? Oh no, you were just thinking what I was thinking, okay. Alright. Nobody out here either. Damn. Nobody out here but a funny little snow guy. Why somebody built a snowman on some sort of pedestal, do you think?
That's not a pedestal, Mr. Naruhodo. That's part of the snowman's body.
Really? But it already has a perfectly good body.
Well, it's true that British snowmen are usually made with 2 balls of snow. Perhaps this is a foreigner.
And now we're looking at him as if he's strange. Poor man. I know how he feels.
If anything, it's Japanese and British 2-ball snowmen that are the strange ones, isn't it? After all, real people do have 3 sections: head, torso, and legs.
Do you ever think that perhaps you think about things too much? Alright. Just had to take a quick sip of my water. Hey, Natsume. Is he out for questioning, or are you in? Shite. Okay. Oh yeah, we can check back with Miss Green. Maybe she's left. She has not left. That's totally fine. That is totally fine. I'm just not lost. I'm just fumbling around looking for a lead. Oh, I was gonna click the rat for new text, but it looks like there is no new text. Oh, man, that's a shame. That's a darn shame. Wait, what was in this photo again? Look, there's a photograph in this frame here. That's why I recognized him, right. It wasn't just because he had the same aesthetic, it's because we clicked on this before, right. Again, it's been a few days. He looks to be about the same age as Miss Green, I would say. Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think? Yeah. My, Mr. Naruhodo, I didn't know you had a sense for matters of the heart, not in the least. Sincerely said the first thing I thought of. Yep. Okie dokie. Let's, Did I miss anything? No, I couldn't have missed anything out of here in the suite. No. I never actually did these text boxes though, so maybe I should, just for the hell of it. It was quite a shock earlier today, wasn't it? We're doing things out of order, yes, quite a shock. When the victim himself turned up in court and took the stand. I know. Not only that, but then finding out that he is actually a barefaced gas thief as well. Yeah, that was certainly a surprise to us all. For a while, it seemed as though everyone had quite forgotten about Soseki-san poisoning the tea. Careful your phrasing, Sasato-san. He didn't poison anything. There's more of this Mr. Shamspear than we yet know, I'm sure of it. Mr. Shamspear certainly wasn't the noble, upstanding man everyone thought he was at first. What's become of him, actually? I was told that he'd be returning to the hospital ward where he was receiving treatment. Oh yeah, we saw that. Man, this is weird doing it now. Oh, which one is that? Let me see. Ah, yes, he's at St. Bartholomew's, or Bart's, as Londoners call it. Hey, Bart! We know that place, don't we? Yes, we visited Miss Green there yesterday. It's the same hospital to which she was taken. Ah, yeah, after Soseki-san stabbed her in the back. Do be careful of your phrasing, Naruhodo-san. He didn't stab anyone. Perhaps we both owe Soseki-san an apology. St. Bartholomew's. Yeah, we should probably visit the hospital later. Or earlier. What next? So we know that Soseki-san took tea to the victim on the night in question, but as he isn't the culprit, then obviously... Yeah, the poison surely wasn't in the tea, but if that's the case, how on earth did the poison get into Mr. Shamspear's body? I'm sure we'll find a clue at the scene. There must be something in Mr. Shamspear's room. Well, naturally, Scott and your detectives have been all over the place already. It's not like there's a secret hatch or something. I'm desperate to know the outcome of the investigation of the tea left in the bar of soap. We run into Inspector Greggs and we could ask him about that. Yeah, and we did. Kazuma Asogi, the best friend I ever had, and a lawyer with such promise. He really saved my bacon in that horrible incident just before we left Japan. I can still picture him now, looking so fierce and determined in court. And then after the trial, that crazy idea he came up with. As a stowaway? Yes, you can fit inside my trunk if you curl up small enough, I'm sure. No one will know. Kazuma, won't you tell me why? Why go to these lengths so that I can accompany you to Great Britain? Well, it's been on my mind ever since we got through that trial. That you really ought to go into law. Be a defense lawyer. You've got a natural talent for it. Believe me, I guarantee it. I've never even thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, I can't force you, obviously. You have to decide for yourself. But anyway, London is a cultural capital of the world. The city is at the forefront of everything. Can't hope for you to see it with your own eyes. No, that's true. Why are you as a man reminiscing about your dead best friend fondly? These bitches gay. Or I guess were gay. Well, no, Ryu's still gay. Kazuma's dead and gay, though. I suppose, though. If you were to become a lawyer, then one day... One day what? Oh, no, never mind. Eh? God, the 60 FPS mod just really highlights, just is really good on Kazuma's headband, by the way. You can just really see that shit flapping in the breeze. It's great.
Naruhodo-san?
Oh, sorry, I was just thinking about Kazuma.
Yes, he's forever in my thoughts too. Change the Japanese judicial system for the better. That was his dream. And that's why he's desperately wanted to come to Great Britain to study, of course.
Yeah, that's right. But...
Yes?
I do wonder if his true intentions lay elsewhere sometimes. I don't know. The thought just takes hold of me every now and then. That's all. Interesting.
Naruhodo-san, what do you mean by Kazuma-sama's true intentions?
Oh shit, the sword.
I mean this. His katana?
I never expected to inherit this sword after Kazuma passed away, of course.
No, I know. It was because I asked you to take it.
When I have it at my side in court, I feel as though it gives me courage.
Yes.
Actually, the night before he died, he told me a little about the sword.
Karuma?
That's right. It's a prized sword that has been passed down through generations of the Asogi clan. A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryunosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karuma guides me. I truly believe that. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain.
Something you have to do?
Yes. After main story, I think there's like extra trials. Yeah, the I think you're referring to the escapades. Those are in the extras menu. I was planning on tackling those in like a bonus stream after we finish the main story and all that, probably. Because there's a lot of bonus content I just want to show off. I haven't looked into all of it, of course, because the game actually warned me about spoilers before I went into the gallery. So, you know, we can look into that when we're done with everything. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down.
What did he mean by something very important that I have to do?
I had hoped the answer to that question would become apparent when we arrived here, but as yet I have not found a single clue.
I see.
Well, let's get the frick out of here. There's a major spoiler in some of the designs. Good thing I haven't checked it then yet. How come we didn't? Oh yeah, because that box was empty and apparently worthless. I don't believe that for a second. But it's not in our item list. I was going to investigate it, but I guess not. Let's go back to Sholmes' place. No, not the Sholmes. I meant Shamspear. My brain's shat. Is there nothing to do around here? For real? There's got to be like something I am just missing. Something I am just not getting to. Ugh. That I'm just... It feels like I should be progressing, but I'm not. And it's like, oh. But everywhere is empty, and I can't find anything. Oh. Oh, shit! There he is! Where were ya?
Oh! Mr. Natsume is back!
Schultz coughs out blood. So he is. Mr. Natsume, hello! I'm a cat. Sorry? I don't know who Mr. Natsume is, or Sherlock Holmes. I don't know about courts, or trials, or Old Baileys. I am a cat. That's what I am. Just a cat. Nya. I regret that.
Mr. Naruhodo, he's trying to escape from his reality.
Trying to? He already has. Completely. So, what is your name then? As yet, I have no name.
Mr. Naruhodo, he hasn't fully thought out his new identity yet. Maybe it's not too late to bring him back to reality.
Do you think you could open your eyes for us, Mr. Natsume? I am not a cat.
It worked! He's back in the real world!
What's going to become of me? No! Don't answer that! It's obvious! My accursed soul is never going to escape this accursed fate!
Mr. Natsume, no! This morning's proceedings in court prove that there's hope!
Yes, local student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire was brilliant, but this Reaper is omnipresent, in court, in my lodgings, here, there, everywhere! What's he looking straight at me for? I think perhaps there are some things we should discuss? Oh, yes, we must. Oh, Natsume. I have a feeling this is a character that some people are going to be very annoyed by, but I like him. He's just a funky dude. In my whole life, have I ever been so moved as I was today? No! Of course, if I cast my mind back, there were perhaps 1 or 2 other occasions that moved me more. But if I just block those out, then today, being in that courtroom was... It was the most moving experience of my life, Nokum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. You're too kind.
Scotland Yard found the remaining tea, just as we deduced and are analyzing it as we speak.
He's just a little guy that's actually real. Yeah, no, don't worry. I know that this Mr. Natsume is based off of the real Mr. Natsume. I may not be too knowledgeable in a lot of the things that this game references, but I at least knew that much. There's nothing wrong with that tea. They won't find a drop of poison in it. That's a solemn, sworn, Soseki certainty. Buddy, but that's not an alliteration. Tell me, did you both drink the tea at the same time that night? Well, it was an alliteration until it wasn't. Oh yes, most definitely. Remember, drink tea while it's hot. We both poured it down our throats like it was a hot bath for our bellies.
Yeah, and at the time, you were both completely fine.
As shown by the fact that he and Mr. Shamspear then engaged in the Romeo and Juliet match. I suppose the focus of tomorrow's proceedings will be how the poison was taken by the victim then. What are your opinions on Mr. That rotten Shamspear! What have I ever done to him? Well, I guess that answers that. You don't recall him taking issue with you over anything you've done recently? I've been holed up in my room, immersed in books. I don't recall anything at all. Right. But what I don't understand is why he didn't let me know sooner.
Let you know what, Mr. Natsume?
About the soup, of course. What else? It's leaning a bit into British now. Ugh.
Oh dear, are you struggling with such a meager stipend?
Of course I am. If I had money, I wouldn't have chosen to live in a cursed existence in such accursed lodgings.
Oh yeah, you said it's because the place is cursed that it's so cheap, didn't you?
Exactly. Especially the room that I rent. The spirit of that capital offender who lived there still haunts the place, and it's trying to kill me! Capital offender? Might I ask, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, that the next time you visit me, you bring scores of super soft soaps. Okay.
Hey, I have a question for you.
Oh, what's this? It's a newspaper cutting that we found in Mr. Shamspear's room. So he knew, did he? Sorry, about this man, Selden. Because it's the actual person's name and then boom. Yeah. A convicted killer, an evil spirit behind the curse that afflicts my lodgings.
What?
He's already taken one young man's life, and now He's trying to take the life of another, a miserable mustache, much maligned Japanese man.
Mr. Natsume, if you know something, please, you must tell us. Tell us everything you can about this evil spirit.
Capital offender, Selden. I'm trying to think of like a Ligma joke with Selden, but my mind is blanking. God, I'm a disappointment. The truth is, I didn't know the details myself until very recently. That Selden man was arrested about a year ago now. At the time, he was hiding out in lodgings at Mr. Garrideb's house.
What? He lived where you do now?
That's right, yes, exactly where I live now. In my very room. Shit's wildin', bro.
Oh my, your room was previously occupied by a criminal found guilty of a capital offense?
But before his sentence could be carried out, he died in prison. That was 3 months ago now.
And that's
where it started. The curse.
What really is this curse you keep mentioning, Mr. Natsume?
It's already caused one death. A few months after the criminal passed away in prison, a man died in the room. The man who rented it after Selden, in fact. The poor lodger, he was found dead in mysterious circumstances. The room was locked from the inside.
Shit, man, locked from the inside. Exactly like the case we're dealing with now.
So, that's the convict's curse, is it? Yes, well, that was the start of it. Okay. Oh my god, I haven't even like tapped into the funny gimmick drink that I have with me today, and I'm already off the shits.
Do you have any idea how the lodger before you passed away, Mr. Natsume?
Well, I'm not as off the shits as I was during Silent Hill 2, but pretty off the shits. The official cause of death was asphyxia.
Damn.
When they discovered the body, the room was full of gas. No, we're not doing that again. Gas.
No. Stop, Perry. Stop.
I only found after I'd signed the lease. When Mr. Garrideb came to tell me later, I couldn't stop myself from trembling. In fact, if I'd known beforehand, I'd probably have been too scared to take the room. Landlord's lease, luckily legal.
Lucky for Mr. Garrideb, maybe, but not so lucky for poor Mr. Natsume. And now you believe this curse is affecting you.
It is. At first, I just felt as though I was being watched all the time.
And then you talked about having nightmares, didn't you?
The dead are trying to take me with them. They come for me and try to suffocate me. So I'm struggling to breathe. I wake up. And the room is as cold as ice.
But why is your room so cold?
London winter is too cold to bear without any heating overnight. But for some reason, even though I light the stove before I climb into bed at night, the pilot light always goes out and the room fills with gas.
But that's terrible. That's exactly the same situation what led the previous occupant's death. Then there's what happened to Mr. Shamspeare last night when he was mysteriously poisoned. There's clearly more to that incident than can be explained by a curse, though. Whatever can be the cause of all these strange happenings in Mr. Garrideb's rooms?
Well, maybe we should go ask a Mr. Garrideb. How you doing, you goddamn classic nighttime McDonald's mascot-looking motherfucker? Ah, you're here now, Mr. Garrideb. Right, Valley business it is for me, you know, getting out and about.
Were you at the Old Bailey by any chance?
Naturally, fate of my lodgings hanging in the balance and all that. Not a trial to miss.
Fate of what's already been dubbed your haunted lodgings, yes.
Of course, the place has caused quite a stir around the capital on more than one occasion already. As the old haunted lodgings or some such.
Ah, well, at least he knows.
Makes you wonder what the blazes is going on, don't you know?
Yes, I'm sure it does. In fact, thinking back to Mr. Natsume's trial just 2 days ago, you were at the Old Bailey then as well, weren't you? Testifying with your wife about what happened. Also, when did Sholmes get here? I mean, I guess he was downstairs before, so I guess it makes sense that he'd be up here now.
Stopped off at the prison on the way home, in fact. Beastly business. I see. So, what brings you to my haunted abode today, then, eh?
Well, you know, what do you know about this? Mr. Garrideb, can I ask you to look at this? Look at this photograph. Wait, that song wasn't invented yet in this time. I can't do that joke! Is that your son who's with you there?
No, not at all. He was a lodger here once. Duncan Ross was his name.
Duncan Ross?
A street photographer happened to be passing, so I asked him to take a shot, just for kicks, really.
Was he, by any chance, the lodger before Mr. Natsume?
Yes, that's right.
Ah, the young gentleman who died in the room in a mysterious circumstance. Oh, no. Yeah, just what Mr. Mustache was waiting for, one might say.
Yes, the young Duncan lived in the room at the top of the first flight of stairs before that Japanese chap.
Would you mind telling us a little more about him? Your lodgings.
Some fishy fellow from the Far East and a failed actor chap of questionable character, eh? Yes, the house does seem to have become something of a magnet for rum fellows of late. Thanks to that bally curse.
Convict's curse, you mean?
Heard the stories, have ya? Rotten scoundrel was arrested here, then the next chap in the room goes and keels over. Then there was that woman who dropped dead just outside on the street, not to mention the actor yesterday. Am I next, eh? Well, can't help but get the collywobbles, can ya?
When you say the woman who dropped dead outside on the street, do you mean Miss Green? Because Miss Green, who was stabbed by the knife, and Mr. Shakespeare, who was poisoned last night, are both very much alive still.
Yes, well, so is that blasted convict's curse, it seems.
Personally, I should be quite content with such lodgings. A bath, a toilet, a fireplace, a fascinating history. Why, it sounds like the lap of luxury. I'm not so sure about that, buddy. Pal, chum friend, home slice bread, slice dog.
Well, there's no bath or toilet included, and no fireplace either.
But you do look out for your tenants, don't you? By watching the rise and fall of the flames in your gas lamps up here.
Yes, never hurts to keep an eye on things, in case there are any, mishaps or such like.
I think you've had your mishap already, sir. That's not helpful, Mr. Sholmes. Kinda rude. Heaven forgive me, the words just came to my lips. Yes, we know, Sholmesy, you love speaking your mind.
Some fishy fellow from the Far East and a failed actor chap of questionable character, eh? There's no need for that, Mr. Garrideb.
That's right, Mr. Natsume is in no way fishy. He's undeniably peculiar, however. Is it right that he took the vacancy immediately after the previous tenant passed away?
Yes, that's right. I asked the estate agent to find someone and he popped up to the very same day. Never come across a chap so keen for a place with a background, as it were.
I don't think it was the room's background he was keen on so much the cheap rent. So, how long has Mr. Shakespeare been lodging under your roof?
That failed actor chap? Let me see. Oh, of course. Yeah, it's been 3 months now. Quite sure of it.
Only 3 months? He's quite new here too, then. And to what do you owe your certainty in that regard, Mr. Garrideb, if I might ask?
Well, it was that Selden scoundrel, as it happens.
Selden? The convict, you mean? Do Selden and Shakespeare have some kind of connection, then? Shakespeare's Tennessee.
That convict chap Selden passed away in the clink 3 months ago now, you see. Some malady or other.
Yes, we've seen the report from the newspaper at the time.
Well, it was only 3 days later that the tragedian showed his face. The actor fellow.
I'm looking that up right now. I can't. I gotta know. Hey, Google.
How do you say that? Say it. Louder. Tragedian? Not what I would have pegged it as. Okay. Really? Yes, I remember it quite distinctly. 'Tis small, this world we inhabit. Prithee, landlord, hear my request. I, the humble Shamspear, do desire to take thy room on the middle floor offered erewhile for rent. Terribly sorry and whatnot, but that won't be possible. Already have a lodger on the middle floor. Ground floor room's vacant, though. Nothing can be made out of nothing. Let me repeat mine will unto thee. Those curs must be muffling your ears. The room on the middle floor is taken. It's ground floor or nothing. Very well, we have an accord. Glad to hear it. Welcome to Briar Road. Lo, a Shamspear dance to celebrate. Clown man. From what I heard in court today, sounds like the chap was Stephen Gass. Blech. And he was 3 months in arrears with the rent, too. Yeah, the fellow was a bally player, all right. Thank you for your candor, Mr. Garadeb. We are most grateful. By way of appreciation, allow me to say 1 or 2 words. Give me my robe, put on my crown. I have immortal longings in me. Oh no. Y'all are gonna fucking kill me for this, but why is Shamspear doing a catboy pose? I mean, why is Sholmes doing a catboy pose? I said Shamspear because it's like the Shamspear bit, but Sholmes is doing it. Why is Sholmes in a catboy pose? What's happened to you? Oh, you know, I'm just in a bit of a mood right now. Nya and all that. Shakespeare, my dear fellow. One of his most famous lines. I wish to divulge my own learning of the subject, for I have a turn for literature too, you know. Perhaps you could turn your attention to more apt lines then? Tell me about death. Yes, Duncan Ross, young chap was attending art school, had to pay for it, mind. Moved into the middle floor room about a year ago, after that criminal, Selden, was arrested. Young students are always on the hunt for rooms with a history behind them. A history of cheap rent, maybe, yes. Yes, well, anyway, it was one morning about a month ago now. I hadn't quite worked out the old trick of watching a gas lamp to see what my lodgers are up to at the time, so sadly I was rather tardy to discover what had happened. Smell of gas that alerted me it was. Ah yes, synonymous with the smell of death. Called the police straight away, of course, and the officer kicked the door off its hinges. Once we got inside, we all barely collapsed. Because of the gas? Yes, the room was full of it. Really? Huh. No air at all. Stove must have gone out while the poor chap was sleeping in his bed. So Mr. Ross suffocated to death. Sheesh. Yeah, with gas. I mean, yeah, asphyxiation was already up in the air, but like, via gas? Jesus. Of course, the police gave me a sound ticking off because the gas pipes were so old and all that. I can't tell you how much it sent me back to have the lot replaced all over the house. And even after you had all that work done, Mr. Natsume says the same thing. That the stove goes out at night while he's asleep in bed. What's the bally curse? The convict's curse! I've done my duty as a landlord now. Someone's feeling defensive. Ah, that reminds me, actually. Yes? About young Duncan, the night before the poor chap perished. He'd been writing a letter of affection, to a young lady. A love letter, you mean? Yes, where did I put it now? Ah, here it is. Left it on my desk. If you'll excuse me, let me see now. What does it say? To my most beautiful and charming sweetheart. Do you think we should be reading such a personal piece of correspondence? My dear Mr. Sato, that is precisely why I preface my reading, if you'll excuse me. I will not excuse you, Mr. Sholmes, no. Sadly, he didn't address it, though, so I'm no means of delivering the thing. Rather sad, really. I see. That's going to play on my mind. I got a feeling. But really, the identity of Mr. Ross's sweetheart has no bearing on the case. I think we should all leave well enough alone. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Indeed, the intended recipient's address is missing. However, there is a name attributed to the man's most beautiful and charming sweetheart. Mr. Sholmes, please! I've already had to chastise you about this once. My undying love to you, my colorful darling, Olive Green. Wasn't this the letter that caused Green to get stabbed in the back?
Perhaps.
Olive Green? The woman who was plunged into a coma after a knife plunged into her back outside this house 5 days ago. The victim of the last case of Seki-sama. Yes, we know. We just saw her earlier today. Is it just chance her name has come up now? Could it possibly be a mere coincidence?
Naruhodo, whatever can this mean?
Reading personal correspondence can have its merits, you see, Mr. Sato. Oh, what a riot I am. What a fucking silly man I am. I'm going to crack a silly, I think. All right, let's move.
Mr. Naruhodo, I've just finished speaking with the doctor. It seems Miss Green is well enough to be discharged at last.
This is good news, but hopefully just before she leaves... What is it? Miss Green! What was that? She clearly just hit something behind her back.
Well, one moment. I'll be with you in a jiffy. Oh, hello, everyone. What are you all doing here? The doctor said I could be discharged, so I'm just getting my things together. Miss Green, what were you just doing? Oh, nothing. Really. I was just about to take some medicine the doctor prescribed for me, that's all.
Well, we were hoping to have another quick chat with you, if that's all right. Also, since Doggle says it, I gotta play it. Uh-oh. That refreshed the chat. I was on the wrong window. Uh-oh. That's all right?
I don't really have anything else to tell you.
All right, she's definitely behaving strangely. Let's see if we can't coax something out of her. Nuh-uh. First off, what the fuck is the deal with this? This is the bottle Miss Green was just about to drink from when we arrived.
Yeah, she looked rather preoccupied, didn't she?
That's because it's very bitter. I can't stand bitter medicine.
I suppose that could be it.
In fact, whenever a doctor prescribes me medicine for a number of days, I always take it all at once. Bruno, that's not smart.
Oh, no!
Well, if you have to take something you don't like, it's best to get it all out of the way in one go, isn't it?
Oh, dear, I thought it was Miss Green I should be worrying about at the moment.
Achievement unlocked, down in 1. Damn. This is the card that Miss Green was looking at so intently before, isn't it?
Mr. Naruhodo, we shouldn't be peeking at a young woman's private effects.
Right, I should say peeking for gentlemen's effects only.
You mustn't do that either.
Maybe you, Mrs. Sato, shouldn't be peeking into a young man's mind either, Damn, gaslighter.
That must be a bag of Miss Green's personal belongings.
She would have been brought directly here after she was found stabbed on the pavement, though.
I expect a friend or family member probably brought some things for her.
All right, then, let's see what's inside. Change of clothes, no doubt, and...
No, Mr. Naruhodo, you must never scrutinize a young maiden's personal belongings.
But the young maiden might have chocolates or biscuits or caramel.
Come on!
Mansplain, manipulate, male wife. Wait, no, we already... Wait, oh, wait, we're actually checking what's inside. Oh, no, you must never scrutinize. Okay, young maiden, okay, it's the same. No, okay, we're fine. I somehow thought it was the same thing twice. Fuck me. Okay. What do you got to say about this? Miss Green, we're hoping to ask you about someone. Mr. Duncan Ross. You knew him, didn't you? Aw, shit. Oh no, I'm so sorry! The bottle of medicine fell down when she did!
Oh, Miss Green, are you all right?
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to startle you like that.
No, it's all right. I just wasn't expecting it. But how do you know about Duncan? Mr. Ross had been writing a letter for when he passed away. The landlord found it in his room. It was a very personal letter. To you. It was at the art school. That's where I met Duncan, a year ago now. He was working to fund his studies. He dreamt of becoming a professional artist one day. The two of you became romantically involved? Yes, that's right. We were very much in love. We were engaged to be married, actually.
Shit, frame drop, sorry.
That's why he decided to move into a cheaper room, to save money for the wedding.
And that's what led him to Mr. Garadeb's...
Yes. He told me he found the worst but cheapest room in the entire East End. And then, 1 month ago, that's when it happened. We're so terribly sorry, Miss Green. Well, it's all in the past now, I suppose. Poor Miss Green, she looks desperately sad.
I was starting to think that's just her look. Shit. But now I see that she has every reason to feel the universe is against her. God dang. Miss Green, about this.
Could you just hold that there for a moment? Don't move.
Sorry?
No, the aesthetics are all wrong.
Is it wrong that I feel so thoroughly rejected? Well, I don't think there's anything else to talk about, so let's get to talking. It's wonderful news that you're going to be discharged, Miss Green.
Oh yeah, I mean, thank you. Once people are better, the hospital staff don't want them lingering and wasting space. Not people like me, anyway. So I don't think I should keep anyone waiting. I probably shouldn't stand around and chat.
She certainly doesn't seem to be in the mood to talk, that's for sure. God.
I do hope you don't think I'm being rude, but would you mind leaving me in peace now? I have to leave this hospital soon.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We didn't mean to hold you up. We'll be on our way. Mr. Naruhodo! Mr. Naruhodo! Oh, hi. Surely you were not about to leave. That's quite out of the question. Mr. Sholmes, I didn't realize you were here. But of course I was, my dear fellow. Watching intently from the shadows as always. Well, make your presence known next time. Wait. Oh no, wait. What's that in the background? What happened? Did the rat? No. Something which occurs to me with some regularity, Mr. Sato, is this. Why are detectives in the next post-factum operandi? Why solve a case afterwards happened instead of preventing a case before it happens? That's what sets a great detective apart. Yeah, okay, but I need to check. Is the rat okay? Is the rat fucking dead? There's a case waiting to happen under our very noses, Mr. Naruhodo. Let's avert disaster. Let's prevent this case from happening with nothing but careful observation. Alright, all the clues you have are set before you. You only look and you cannot fail to see.
You can do it, Mr. Naruhodo.
No! That mouse seems to be dead. Look, I didn't notice it there before, did you?
I think perhaps it drank the medicine that spilled out of the bottle.
Rest in fucking peace.
But that's the bottle that Miss Green was about to drink from when we arrived.
You don't think? No, I never do. I see you've come to appreciate the true nature of this scene. That's of a tragedy about to take place. Maybe? I don't actually know much if there is a mouse. If there is a mouse Sona. Yeah, I think it's falling into place. Miss Green, the contents of the bottle you had before is spilt out on the floor, and the poor mouse that drank it has sadly died. I think it's clear that the bottle must have contained a powerful poison.
Don't worry, I will attend to the mouse presently.
I wouldn't worry too much about it, Sasato. I mean, looks like it's already dead. Unless... Miss Green, were you intending to go the same way as that rodent? To take your own life? Ah! Once we left, you would have put it to your lips again, wouldn't you? And taken the poison?
No! Miss Green, please talk to us.
definitely feels as though this card must be relevant. I mean, when we first arrived, Miss Green was standing with it in her hand in what can only be described as a very tense atmosphere.
Yes, it may very well be related to whatever incident Mr. Sholmes believes was about to happen here. Perhaps you should ask Miss Green about it.
Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. Oh, fuck, yep. 10 seconds later, we would have arrived at a very different scene here. In all probability, we would not have enjoyed this most delightful conversation. Of course, perhaps it hasn't been quite so delightful from your perspective, Miss Green.
Actually, in a way, now that everything's out in the open, I feel like a weight has been lifted.
Tell me, how'd you acquire that medicine?
Well, with this being a hospital and all, when the doctor comes to examine me in the mornings, he always leaves the medicine cabinet open for a while, so I snuck this out when he wasn't looking.
It conspicuously lacks a label. I wonder what it contains.
I'm afraid I don't really know, but I thought if I drank it, it might just...
Might just what? Oh, please, Miss Green, don't talk of such things. Might just stop the pain. Jeez. Well, it seems clear now that it contains poison.
Yes, that poor little mouse is proof of that. Oh no, it's all my fault. What have I done?
I shall remove this to my office, Miss Green. I take it you have no objection?
No, none.
The card. Tell me about the card.
Neither the sender's name or address appears to be written on the envelope or the card. It arrived by post at my home the day before the incident that put me in the hospital here.
Would you look at that? Would you
look at that? Oh, it matches up perfectly. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross.
Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th. Don't tell anyone else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance. Wait a tick. The 17th of this month? That's the day you were stabbed on Briar Road.
And 5 p.m.
is precisely the time when the incident occurred. The Slug and Salad, yes. A pub on the northern corner of Briar Road. Briar Road being the street that Mr. Garrideb's house is on.
Does this mean that... Yes, I'm sure you've guessed. That day when I was struck in the back by the knife, I was actually on my way to the Slug and Salad. Goodness.
So that's what you were doing on Briar Road that day, huh?
I'm sorry I didn't say anything before. I think I really will have to ask you to excuse me now. I told you everything.
Yeah, I'm very sorry to have to drag up such painful memories for you.
No, it's fine. Miss Green, please promise us you won't try to do anything like that again. Yes, don't worry. Your detective friend has the bottle now anyway. And besides, I've been stabbed in the back and had a close shave with a bottle of poison, and I'm still here. I think I'm destined to see things through to the end. It might sound a little conceited, but, well, that's how all this has made me feel.
Well, fair enough. Leaving Miss Green and St. Bartholomew's behind, we've made our way back to Baker Street with Mr. Sholmes. Damn, I don't think we've ever seen it out here in the nighttime. Looks beautiful. Or maybe we have one time, but I didn't really call attention to it. It's beautiful. Well, it would appear we've reached the end of the investigative trail for today. Yeah, it's late. And, Mr. Naruhodo, did you discover anything that may be of use to you in court tomorrow, do you think? Details about Mr. Shamspeare, Mr. Garrideb's lodgings, the convict, Selden. There are many facets to this case, and we're yet to see to the heart of it, if you ask me. That's my feeling, anyway.
I can't help wondering about the results of this analysis.
Into Mr. Natsume's tea, you mean?
Yeah. Will they have found strychnine in it or not?
Well, I fear that either way, it will be hard to escape the grip of our friend, the Reaper. Yeah, Mr. Reaper.
Oh dear.
Yes, Beric Van Zeeks. But I wish you every success, of course, and though I was late to rise this morning, Tomorrow will be a new dawn. I intend to spring from my bed at a crisp hour and attend the trial. Honey, I've been there, done that, saying I'd wake up early, and I wake up at like 11 a.m. Don't try and kid yourself.
Mr. Sholmes, you're going to come?
Indeed, whatever happens, I shall be there. Soon my eyelids cooperate in the morning. That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I think we've done all we can. All that's left is to remain focused and keep fighting for Mr. Natsume's cause until the very end. Bum, bum, ba-da, bum, bum, ba. London, the world's most prosperous city, home to some 6 million people. But away from the razzle-dazzle, down back alleys and behind bricked-up windows, the lonely lurk. Soseki-san had battled long and hard with loneliness during his many months here, and so I felt honor-bound to battle equally hard for my compatriot, to lift the curse that gripped him. As Mr. Sholmes said, tomorrow will be a new dawn for all of us. To be continued. I have the opposite problem. Sometimes I wake up at like 4 a.m. and go real shit. Fair enough, I suppose. Let's get back to the trial. The Old Bailey, defendant's antechamber. Hey, buddy.
This is it then, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yeah, it's time to put an end to this now. To the miserable curse that has been plaguing Mr. Natsume. To everything.
And in my own small way, I shall do everything I can to help you.
I always appreciate your help, Mr. Sato. Suffering Soseki is selfishly sidelined.
Ah,
Good morning to you too, Mr. Natsume.
Good morning, welcome student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Listen to you two chatting away happily as the main player of today's trial isn't here. Why would you do that? Why?
oh dear, we didn't mean to cause offense, Mr. Natsume. I thought perhaps that because you had your eyes shut so tightly, you were meditating? Finding your inner calm. Seemed wrong to disturb you.
I was waiting. What's the matter, Mr. Natsume? You seem different somehow today. Why, naturally, that's because I've attained spiritual enlightenment. The path of literature, you see, is a journey to discover one's own death. Or such like. That's the sort of morning conversation I was hoping for. That's why I had my eyes shut.
I
Missed the signs, I'm afraid. And you mustn't talk of your path leading you to death, Mr. Natsume.
That was just an example.
Oh yeah, there it is. Inner calm.
You barely came to see me at all yesterday. I was sure you'd abandoned me and returned to a beautiful long-lost homeland.
We're not even been in Great Britain a week yet.
Yes, well, anyway. I intend to set everything straight in court today. I'm determined to uncover the truth.
I've actually reached an important decision myself.
Oh, what sort of decision?
I shall fill you in after the trial.
All right.
It would seem Mr. Sholmes isn't coming today after all. It's a very clever message, I think. My dear fellows, you must win this battle on your own merits.
It's a very clear message, I think. He's overslept again.
The great detective, my arch nemesis. Long may he stay away, if you ask me. Defendant and your legal representative, the trial is about to begin. Make your way to the courtroom immediately.
Let's go. Today, once again, we face the Reaper. And when the Reaper stands for the prosecution, the defendant's fate is sealed. But I don't believe in that legend anymore than I believe in Soseki-san's curse. The truth is hidden here somewhere, and I won't let it escape me. I have to keep believing in my client and keep fighting to the very end. That's all. Oh boy.
Oh, Reaper! I'm ready to take you down a peg. Oh, same jury?
Well, I mean, it's the same case. It makes sense, I guess. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. Yes, the defense is ready. Very good. And now I call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury, chosen by lot to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to proceed? Absolutely. Justice will be done, you mark my words.
I feel obliged to say I feel especially ruthless on days when my hat is sitting just right.
Oh, well, I wonder if you could adjust my hat for me, and please be as ruthless as you like.
Thieves deserve to die if you ask me, especially Gaius thieves. I've no sympathy for the man at all.
Look, I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again now. I don't have time for this. I've got my own problems.
Oh, may the Lord show us all the light here and lead his flock to a righteous verdict again today.
Now, Lord Van Zeeks, what can you tell us? The prosecution's report, please, for the court, in relation to the theory expounded by the defense yesterday regarding the defendant's tea. Sis? So he does have the results. Oh shit, we're pouring already? Okay. Well, time to... These things are hard to open, God. I have my own alcohol. I'm ready to fucking drink too. I'm wondering to see how this goes. Let's fucking do it. Oh, fuck. It's nothing strong. It's like 5% at most, but oh boy. Never had it. Never tried it myself. Before the prosecution delivers the black news about the black tea belonging to the black god in the dark, pray allow me a moment to savor a liquid of more sanguine hue. In fact, I'll defer to the good detective for the report. Here's to you, Inspector. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. As indicated by the defense, we found a bar of soap just outside the victim's window in the snow. There was indeed a frozen reddish liquid in a little depression on the top of it. God, I can smell the alcohol. God, I thought 5% wasn't much. I can smell that shit. I guess alcohol is just pungent. I'm still not taking a sip, though. Not yet. Yes, that's the tea, sis! That's what Mr. Natsume brought with him that night. Well, the brains of the yard analyzed it, and yes, you're right. It was, the tea, sis. There wasn't a trace of strychnine or any other toxic substance in it.
No poison at all?
In other words, the tea a defendant brought with him to the victim's room is innocent. It's in the clear. What a revelation!
As I suspected.
This makes it quite clear. Defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is... my learned friend is jumping to conclusions again. A typical Nipponese reaction. What? Yes, it's true no poison was found and a few drops of liquid recovered from the soap on the window ledge. But what logic is that? Would you take a drop from the Thames and conclude that the water in the ocean isn't salty? My word, the water in the ocean is extremely salty, Counsel. I'm not breaking my glass, though. Exactly! Unfit for drinking, just as the victim's tea was on the night in question, as the court has already heard. Bitter was the precise word from the lips of Mr. William Shakespeare, whom the prosecution now calls back to the stand. Oh boy. I gotta take a sip of this eventually. I'm just scared. This was the worst. This was why am I taking my first sip of alcohol? Why am I drinking my first sip of alcohol during Ace Attorney? I don't know why. But, you know, why not?
Mr. Shakespeare?
Yes, it sounds like we're going to have another confrontation with our theatrical friend. Probably a good time to drink. Bailiff, show Mr. Shakespeare to the stand. All right. Not bad. It's all right. It's a hard lemonade thing, so it's like half lemonade, half whatever the fuck. I assume that's like mellowing out the alcohol or whatever. It's all right, not bad.
Mr. William Shakespeare, the victim of this despicable crime. Oh heaven, oh hell, do you command me to remember? Forsooth, 'twas I, Shakespeare, did have a bellyful of the foul fluid given in mine innocence.
I'm having a foul fluid myself, God. No, like I said, it's actually not bad. I wouldn't drink it if I hated it.
Yes, but as was revealed in yesterday's proceedings, the witness is not as innocent as we had perhaps first been led to believe. By using bars of soap such as this, he has been stealing gas from the supply company, yes. One may smile and be a villain. Forsooth, 'twas I, Shakespeare, did have a room full of the sweet fuel given. That's right, fellow jurors, don't forget, this man is a rotten thief. I haven't forgotten. Kept all that about the ice coins a tidy secret, didn't ya? We should have owned up sooner.
Arrest him, I say. Arrest him at once. And let him feel the sting in my tail.
Oh, indeed, by dint of vile and cowardly means have I plotted to further mine own ends, I confess. Thou wouldst not pardon my sins, of that I am sure.
If you acknowledge your wrongdoing, what exactly are you doing here?
Cowards die many times before their deaths. And for a coward such as I, death be well deserved. But would it that still greater crime passeth unpunished? For lo, the hairy-faced gentleman of farther east than Verona did contrive to poison me.
But there was no poison in the tea found in your room. The police have attested to that.
What the defense would assert as an inconsistency will quickly be cleared up by the witness's testimony. Is that not so, Mr. Shakespeare?
Verily, my liege, I will most gladly speak.
Very well, let the witness testify to this inconsistency. Tell the court why it is the poison apparently entered your body, though none was found in the tea.
The tea inconsistency. The Japanese man did come to my chamber with tea brewed in a pot.
So my cup alone that the wicked miscreant secretly poured his wicked poison. Oh shit, there goes the cap. Oh no. I'm making a mess of my... Is it a set? It's a setup, I guess. Whilst feigning distraction in our debate, ne'er did a drop of his own drink pass his lips. When he departed by and by, I did use a tea that reminded me of his cup to make my coins of ice. Thus 'tis no surprise that poison be not found in the tea I did pour into the molds of soap. The poison was slipped into the cup after the tea had been poured. The normal way for poison to be administered, in my experience. Quite, otherwise it would be disastrous if the poisoner were to mix up the cups, for instance.
But no poison was found at the scene.
Because, quite simply, the Nipponese took the bottle back to his own room.
The absence of a vessel containing the poison only becomes problematic when considering suicide.
I knew that. By now it should be perfectly clear. A bar or two of cheap soap. It is wholly insufficient to wash the deep stains of guilt from the accused hands.
Duh! Sirs, madams, 'tis true that I, Shakespeare, be a common thief of gas.
But, listen here, ladies and gentlemen.
Wherefore would I lie? Verily, I have no cause. I have naught to lose. Well, I do declare.
Thank you for your testimony, witness. Counsel, proceed with the cross-examination. Yes, my lord.
The Japanese man did come to my chamber with tea brewed in a pot. It was in my cup alone that the wicked miscreant secretly poured his wicked poison. Whilst feigning distraction in our debate, ne'er did a drop of his own drink pass his lips. Excuse me one sec. There is no tea ring on Mr. Natsume's cup, so doesn't that mean that he drunk?
Objection.
You claim that Mr. Natsume didn't drink a drop of tea on the night in question, but that's impossible. How? Chop logic. What is this, ye darky clad fiend? I thought that was a typo the first time, but I guess that is just a thing in Shakespeareans. In Shakespeareans, yes. The two teacups from the scene, one used by the victim and the other by a defendant, have a clear difference between them. One represents incontrovertible proof. Incontrovertible? What difference? Look at the insides of the teacups. Just here, there's a clearly visible ring. Yes, a tea ring, commonplace enough. Indeed, such stains occur all too readily when one leaves the tea in the cup for a while. And yet, Mr. Natsume's cup has no such ring. Good lord, man, you're right. It's completely clean. And prithee, sir, what makest thou of it? Exactly what Mr. Natsume told the court yesterday. The Japanese saying he quoted, "Drink tea while it's hot." That's right, yes. The jittery Mr. Natsume was true to his usual self that night and drank his tea in no time. If you, as you claim in your testimony, he didn't touch a drop of his tea, a ring would have developed on the inside of his cup as well after several hours the tea was left standing. But, in short, Mr. Shamspeare, you clearly lied to the court. Get thee to a nunnery!
Objection.
Oh shit, fucker, I'll drink to that. As a rule, I fill my hallowed chalice up to 7 times during any one trial. Sounds familiar. Coffee, anybody? You might want to keep that information to yourself. Yet on occasion, tedium distracts me and I pour more times than I intended until the bottle is dry. Your drinking habits are fascinating, but irrelevant. On the contrary, they illustrate the fickleness of human memory. To William Shamspeare. Yes, my liege. Though you previously stated that you made the coins of ice from the leftover tea in the accused cup, could it be that you were perhaps mistaken? Eh? Could it be that, yes, perhaps there was some tea remaining in the small teapot left at the scene? Ching! A fact that had vanished from your memory until now. Faith, my liege, thou art a magician. For verily 'tis as thou hast seen with thine own eyes that night. What? Forsooth, I was mistook. I did plan to use the tea from the Japanese fellow's cup, but lo, when I looked, 'twas empty. And thus did I use the dregs that festered in the teapot, as my liege did suggest. And you just suddenly remembered now that you made a mistake before? Are we supposed to believe that? People's memories aren't perfect, my learned friend, which is why we rely on evidence instead. But in any case, it makes no difference. The victim's most recent testimony tells us 2 things of note. Firstly, that the poison was put into the victim's teacup only. And secondly, that the spoiled cup was not the source of the insipid ice coins that had bewitched this court. The prosecution makes a fine summary of the facts. Furthermore, that testimony remains valid and in full support of the established facts. In other words... Ooh, cloak coming off! Woo! Where does it go? Where did he yeet it? I'm surprised they didn't do a gag where, like, the fucking cloak falls on top of, like, Ryunosuke's head or something. The inconsistency claimed by the defense simply does not exist. No! What does that mean then? Huh? I do declare it means there's no issue with the gas thief's testimony. Apart from the bit about thieving gas, obviously. My lords, ladies, and gentlemen of the jury, I do solemnly swear, after I had dined at Grubb's Grubbery Ale House that night, God, the slug and salad, grubs grubbery. What kind of bar alehouse type shit? What are these names? Not did pass my lips, but the black tea given me by the Japanese, whose back be stooped as low as death. And on what did you dine, sir? Why, I did partake of my favorites. A broth as would be called soup, and the leaf as would be called salad. As insalubrious a menu as the establishment where it was served. Oh, that was the wrong fucking button. My apologies. But you gods will give us some faults to make us men. Willingly would I suffer what punishment is seen fit to serve a wicked thief of gas. But I pray ye wise and noble fellows, ne'er forget the simple truth. That be one thing, and this be another. Jurors all, your humble servant Shamsbeard doth entreat you. Punish the Japanese fellow for his sins. Huh? My lord! If I may speak, my lord. Yes, Mr. Foreman. I believe we may be duped by that rotten defense lawyer. By me?
I do declare you may be right.
We all know the wife was there making coins of ice to keep himself warm. Well, this lawyer lad says if he's stealing gas, he deserves a dose of poison, eh? He's been leading us up the garden path. That's what he's been doing. I really never said anything like that. What we just heard from the victim there has opened our eyes up again. We have reached a decision this time, and we won't be swayed from it. The court acknowledges the position of the jury foreman and will duly hear the jury's findings. What? No! You can't! Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your decisions now.
Guilty.
Oh no, I can't wait to
Guilty.
immediately reverse this with a summation examination. Mod that makes the bing sound effect. Why did that open a new tab? I'm so fucking pissed. Can my hotkeys for the soundboard work? Ugh. I can fit the rest in there. Boop. I'm not drinking too much today, just one bottle to test what's going on. It's a very small bottle. I should clarify. It's not too bad though. It's pretty good. Anyway, yes, mod that makes the... Considering I added a high quality music mod pack, I would think the sound effects are most definitely replaceable. So that could be fun. I hereby declare the jury to be in one accord. Oh, happy day! How is this happening? My lord, the defense asserts its right to carry out a summation examination. Very well, the courts... Yeah, you know. Invest in a sound plank, make all the Foley yourself. Hell yeah. Typical, my learned friend is unable to accept the obvious truth. This trial will therefore enter its second summation examination immediately. I should clarify, I don't actually have a soundboard. I just use hotkeys on my fucking desktop, my laptop keyboard on keys I don't really use that much. Jurors, the court calls upon each of you. I will invest in a soundboard someday when I have the money. To state the grounds upon which you find the defendant guilty of the crime of which he is charged. Judicial findings. I'm a man of logic, me, and having considered all the evidence, the defendant must be logically guilty.
I do agree the gas is far too expensive. I can quite understand why the man would want to avoid paying. The stuff explodes and it can poison you. It's absolutely lethal, gas is. Gas doesn't come for free. It costs a fortune to deliver it around the city and maintain the pipes.
Truth be told, to tell you my wife serves up for me is a little, sketchy at times. What does that have to do with anything?
If nothing else passed the... Oh, right, T. If nothing else passed the victim's lips that night, there's no other explanation, is there? Bum, 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 bum.
I do feel that perhaps personal opinion about gas and its supply has influenced discussion somewhat. It's a little biased. Oh well, it happens. But never mind. No, you really should mind.
The truth is, our counter-argument wasn't as unassailable as we'd hoped.
and Mr. Shamspear was poisoned. There can be no doubt of that. Then how are we supposed to turn this around?
I think we need to establish the method by which Mr. Shamspear is actually poisoned. Our only hope is to demonstrate that to the court incontrovertibly.
But that's surely almost impossible at this stage.
If we don't manage it, though, Mr. Natsume will
be found guilty. No delays, counsel. Proceed with the summation examination. Ding, ding. I'm a man of logic, and logically guilty. Blah, blah, blah. The grass is far too expensive. I can quite understand why the man wants to avoid paying. So if it explodes, it can poison you. It's absolutely lethal. Gas can come for free. It costs a fortune to deliver around the sea and maintain the pipes. Can we please refrain from all this talk of gas?
There's an all-out attack on the way here, in case you hadn't noticed, against my company's gas.
And I'm supposed to sit here and take it, am I?
I don't think so.
She's really buzzing now.
All I've heard about our wonderful fuels, explosions and poisonings. What about electricity? What about getting electrocuted? What about that? An explosion here and there is nothing in comparison.
Any explosion could hardly be described as nothing, madam. Nevertheless, the theft of your gas is deplorable.
My point exactly. But the gas thieves aren't even the worst of our enemies. We have far more devious reprobates to contend with on a daily basis, as you know.
More devious? Who, madam?
Other gas companies, of course.
Other gas companies? Not quite what I was expecting.
We generate gas and deliver it to our customers fair and square.
Indeed, nobody is questioning that, madam. Altamont is an exemplary gas company.
But there are other unscrupulous gas companies here in London that don't even have any gas at all.
What? But if they don't have any gas, how do they go about selling it to people?
You wouldn't think it possible, would you? But they steal our gas and sell that.
They steal your gas? How on earth is such a thing possible?
Gas companies like ours deliver gas to people's homes via a network of pipes. But those devious reprobates secretly disconnect our pipes and divert our gas to their own rotten pipes. They make a contract with the household supplied and take money for the precious gas that's rightfully ours without us even knowing.
Y'all hearing this shit? Damn. Shit's wild.
They're diverting the gas into their own pipes illegally. What a brazen form of theft! When we visit customers' homes to collect the money from their meters, we always have to check whether or not one of these devious companies has been up to its tricks.
What's up, buddy?
Excuse me.
Well, I mean, not buddy. You're racist. Do you have something to say about that, juror number 3?
Oh, golly, you mean me? I'm terribly sorry. I was just thinking to myself.
You really did catch him off guard there, eh? Thinking about what the lady next to you was saying, correct?
Well, yes, I just got a little riled up about it recently, you see.
Go on.
An Altamont gas worker visited my house the other day to investigate the pipe work. We need to ask for your cooperation while we carry out a secret check of your property, sir, the fellow said. So I let him in, and do you know what he did?
I'm afraid I have no idea. Please tell us.
He proceeded to take one of my lights off the wall, and he grabbed the exposed mouth of the pipe and started blowing into it. What do you think you're doing, young man? You're giving away company secrets there. Oh, please, everybody knows, but it was very nearly the death of me, I can tell you.
What do you mean?
I'll explain if you don't mind. As I said before, these unscrupulous other gas companies connect their customers to our pipe network. Yes, but how does blowing into the pipes come into it? Obviously, there's gas in the pipes. That's at fairly low pressure. By blowing air through the pipe, you can make the pressure drop temporarily. And if you do that, any lights connected to the same pipe will flicker for a moment.
Ah, I see. In other words, if upon blowing into the pipe, the lights of an adjacent property has no contract with your company flicker, you can know that these devious scoundrels have been meddling with the pipes.
Exactly, my lord. That's it in a nutshell. It's the reason why we have teams of workers going around neighborhoods to investigate which lights flicker. The trouble is, the particular worker who came into my house didn't know the strength of his own breath. He blew down the pipe with all his might, and you can guess what happened, can't you?
Well, if he blew hard, then... Wait, you mean...
That's right, the lights didn't just flicker. It went out, along with the stove. Gas just started pouring into the house. It was really just quite disgusting.
What a disaster.
The gas supply must have been interrupted briefly because the man blew too hard, so the flames went out. I'm afraid I yelled at the fellow. Are you trying to kill us all? I said.
So by disconnecting the lamp and blowing into the exposed gas pipe, it's possible to extinguish the lamps and stoves connected to the same network of pipes. And then when the gas starts flowing again, it just silently seeps into the room. Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps... Yes, this is almost certainly the clue that we've been hoping for. Juror number 3! The defense requests that you amend your statement to include that information.
Oh, well, if you like, I don't mind. Well, I do. That's our company's secret method of identifying the rogue to try to diddle us. Like I said, madam, it's widely known already.
Very well, juror number 3, amend your statement.
Yes, my lord, although I'm not really sure what the point of all this is.
Bum, 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 bum. Blow too hard to a gas pipe and you extinguish everything in the house, and then you're in real trouble. It's a fortune to maintain the pipes. The tea my wife serves up for me is a little sketchy at times. Nothing else passed the victim's lips that night. There's no other explanation, is there? What are we talking about explanation-wise? Are we talking just like in general, or like drinking poison-wise?
Objection.
I'll give it a shot. Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious! To whose statements do you refer, counsel? Juror number 6, did you hear what juror number 3 just said?
What? Yes, of course. I heard him mumbling about something or other.
There is another explanation here, I believe. Something besides Mr. Natsume's tea did, in a manner of speaking, pass the victim's lips on the night in question.
What explanation?
I wonder, did the police check the mouth of the gas pipe feeding the wall light at the scene? See if there were any traces of poison there. I was curious to see what your floundering would result in this time. The mouth of a gas pipe. Scotland Yard have enough to do without exploring such irrelevance. Hold it! What a piece of work is a man. What are you trying to say, Mr. Shamspeare?
What speakest thou? Prithee, is it not strange and strange?
That is what I say to thee, sir. I thought I'd been quite clear, but let me put it another way. The strychnine could have been out in the mouth of the gas pipe that feeds the wall lamp in your room. And that is how the poison came to enter your butt. Wait just a goddamn second. There are multiple prints on each side of a hanging picture. Good lord! Are they tasty then, gas pipes? Is that what he's saying?
Well, the gentleman suggested that the poor man was so desperately hungry, he tried to fill his belly with gas. Perhaps no actor should perform a kiss scene with him.
For shame, madam, speaking thy fancy. I assure you I'm not such a buffoon that I have to kiss pipes.
Objection.
This is no summation examination. This is a farce. The prosecution will not stand for any more of my learned Nipponese friend's conjecture. To begin with, the lamp on the victim's Hold the fucking phone. Lamp on the victim's room is high on the wall. In order to place his lips to the pipe that feeds it, he would have to be a contortionist. These are empty assertions. There's no possible proof that the man did as you say.
Well, maybe there's one thing.
It's true, I have no proof that Mr. Shamspeare put his lips to the pipe. However, I can say with some certainty that on multiple occasions, Mr. Shamspeare has been doing something in front of the lamp on his wall. I don't think I need to hear any more about what he does in front of his lamp. Thank you. And I have evidence to prove it. Alright, you've got our attention, lad. I'd like to see how you can be so sure yourself.
So would I. Let's see this evidence then.
Now that I've got the jury's ear, I need to make this opportunity count. This is the proof that time and time again, Mr. Shamspeare stood in front of his gas lamp. There's one thing that shows a repetition.
Take that!
What the? These are... Wait, what are they called? Yes, skin prints that were found at the scene. Skin prints, counsel. I've never heard of such things. The Justice Ministry is currently assessing whether or not to permit fingerprints as evidence in court, however.
My lord, this is an exciting new forensic technique developed by the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Oh, God. Considering what happens in, well, I guess timeline-wise, the next case with Herlock technology, I doubt they're gonna accept this.
It reveals all the places that Mr. Shamspeare touched in his room.
I've never seen anything like it. I mean, that's black magic, isn't it?
Well, if anyone can invent something like this, it's that great Sholmes fellow, that's for sure. I agree. This month's edition of Engineering Thumbs was quite fascinating.
We found skin prints in many places that you would expect. On the table, on the costumes. However, Mr. Shamspeare also appears to have been touching some very unexpected places in his room. For example, here. Around the hanging picture there, indeed, multiple handprints appear to be visible.
Well, I wonder, could he really have been appreciating the artwork, perhaps?
At first, my colleagues and I thought the same. However, imagine standing with your hands where those prints are, and you would find yourself directly in front of...
Ah! I don't believe it!
The gas lamp. Yep. Just as I fucking thought. Though the reason why isn't immediately obvious, it's clear that Mr. Shamspeare has regularly been standing with his hands to the wall in front of that lamp.
Right, what have you been up to, you nut?
I'd ask the court to recall juror number 4's earlier statement.
Me? What did I say?
You said that blowing into the gas pipe would make the lights of the entire building flicker. And now, if you'll recall juror number 3's statement...
What, me now?
When the gas worker who visited his home blew with too much force into the pipe, it caused all the lights in the gas stove to go out, and gas to start leaking into the rooms.
Gas, gas. We'll leak into the room. Gas.
Obviously, that incident was an accident. However, the simple fact is... if Mr. Shamspeare were to have blown hard into the gas pipe here in his room, he could have extinguished every other light and gas stove in the building at will. Crikey!
Are you suggesting that the man purposely caused the gas to...
Oh, fuck.
Whilst I acknowledge that the prosecution is required to remain silent during a summation examination...
God, this shit is sour. Christ. Ugh. I don't know if that's the alcohol part or the lemonade part. God. Ugh. It's not bad. It's just a very, very weird taste. Very new to me.
I must toast my learned friend's utter disregard for the letter of the law. What is the meaning of this, Lord Van Zeeks? This curious photograph, or whatever it is, presented by a defense, the so-called skin prints. Clearly, you don't own an air fryer. I mean, clearly that cannot be accepted as any form of usable evidence in this case.
But it's an exciting new forensic technique, developed by a great detective.
It's nothing. A mere toy developed by an amateur sleuth with too much time on his hands. Ugh.
Yes, certainly. Even research of this nature by the esteemed Mr. Sholmes cannot be recognized by the court as formal evidence.
But... please, my lord, if I may.
Miss Osato, it was not the defense's intention to submit the skin prints as formal evidence. We merely wish to present the results of the great detective investigation of the scene. Holmes be like, my new invention, the air fryer. As a tool by which to explain a possibility to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. If the trial were to come to an end now... we should never learn the truth behind these mysterious handprints that everyone has now seen. I don't believe we can allow that to happen, and I'm sure the jurors would agree. Bing, 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 bing. Hold it. You're right. Whether those strange handprints are a significant clue or not, it's down to us to decide. Juror number 3.
Oh yes, I do declare the great detective's investigation results sound absolutely fascinating. And I want to hear what that shady actor fellow has to say about those shady handprints.
Bum bum ba bum bum bum. Well, what's the matter with you two? That was foolhardy. We'll get to you someday, buddy. Well, I did say, didn't I? And I don't like to break a promise. No, wait. You heard his lordship.
Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. If just one more juror changes his or her mind, Mr. Natsume's trial will have to continue.
Thank you, Mr. Sato, but I couldn't have done it without you.
Oh no, it was you who identified the clue after all. This is very much your success.
Why, Mr. Shakespeare? You seem to be losing your composure. Bum, 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 bum.
Just one more juror, Mr. Naruhodo. You can do it.
Very well, continue, counsel. I am a man of logic, and having considered all the evidence, the defendant must logically be guilty. I'm sticking to my word. We're gonna crack you. All the evidence you say? That's right, and there's no room for doubt. It's all pointed at a Japanese man with a big mustache. Says the Englishman with the bigger mustache. But the defense just demonstrated another possible explanation for the night in question. What do you make of that? What, your so-called skin prints? Nah.
It's an exciting new forensic investigation technique developed by the great detective himself.
The numerous handprints on the wall are clearly out of the ordinary. And if Mr. Shakespeare indeed put his mouth to the gas pipe on the night in question, it can't be denied there's a possibility that's where the poison was. Well, yes, I won't deny that it's playing on my mind. But as the prosecution rightfully says, we should pay no heed to unacceptable forms of evidence. And besides, yes, even if the fellow has been up to some mischief with the gas pipe doesn't the time before, doesn't mean he got up to the same shenanigans on the night in question, does it? Oh. If you can't make a case better than that, I'm afraid I can't change my stance.
You do make a very valid point, sir.
What? That's true. Perhaps I was a little hasty. No, wait! Look, you've got your chance here, haven't you? So it's time to prove your theory. If you and your Japanese cohorts can, that is.
Just leave our nationality out of this, please. Mr. Naruhodo, if we can't substantiate our position, I'm afraid the jurors that changed their minds before may very well change them back.
What can I do? Is there any more proof I can give here? Can I show that Mr. Shakespeare really did blow down the gas pipe on the night in question? I don't know if I mean, we have... What does it mean, testimony, though? No, in truth, I don't have evidence to support my theory. However, there is witness testimony that substantiates it. What's that? Testimony?
This is incredible. Whose testimony?
Yes, it's all connected. Everything is linked. A person whose testimony revealed details about the gas in the Garrett residence that night. Right! You said something, didn't you? Obviously, I'm talking about the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume himself. The defendant? At the very beginning of the proceedings here in court yesterday, Mr. Natsume said the following. My lodgings! There's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings. Even on that fateful night it happened, when I returned from Mr. Shakespeare's room. I lit my gas stove and climbed to bed, but before long, the stove went out, and somebody tried to kill me. On the night in question, the gas in the defendant's room went out. So I asked the court, was that a mere coincidence or not? Golly. So that Shakespeare fellow blew into the gas pipes to make the man stove go out on purpose? Now hold your horses there, why would he do that for? Mr. Foreman, what is it, man? We cannot allow judgments to be passed while this doubt remains. It's true that I don't have conclusive evidence yet. However, you must surely agree there is more to this case than meets the eye. Duh. Fair enough. Like I said at the outset, I'm a man of logic, first and foremost. Let's go! That's 4 jurors leaning towards not guilty, my lord. We've overturned the decision. Therefore,
The defense calls for the trial to continue. As the defense has rightfully indicated, the summation examination has concluded with the majority of jurors altering their decisions. 2 jury members now called guilty, 4 now called not guilty. Therefore, the jury's opinion is conflicted, and in accordance with the law of this land, I hereby order the continuation of this trial. Mr. William Shakespeare! My lord, how can I, humble Shakespeare, serve thee? What say you in response to the various revelations made during the summation examination? So God mend me, I do solemnly swear, I recall aught of either the lamp or the pipe. But your handprints have made a tidy mess all over the wall there. How do you explain that, eh? Ah! I am done with this. The dignity of this great courtroom has been sullied enough already. Juror number 5. Oh, me! As I went to some pains to point out already. A print from the self-professed detective's toy has no place in a British court of law. As such, whether or not this man did indeed stand before the gas lamp with his hands against the wall remains at this time unestablished conjecture. You would all do well to remember that. I don't know why I'm on the verge of laughing right now. This is very serious. This is very serious shit right here. But the prosecution must concede that it would be extremely simple to verify. Just order the mouth of the gas pipe feeding that lamp in Mr. Shakespeare's room to be examined. If there are traces of poison there.
Objection.
What appears to be extremely simple is my Nipponese friend's mind. Damn, got me. You will recall that in order to check for the presence of poison in the tea, some remnants of tea were required. Yes. Therefore, it shouldn't be beyond your wit to imagine that even if poison were to have been spread on the pipe, it would have completely evaporated by now, making any analysis impossible. Duh! I didn't think of that. In any case, counsel, I fail to see what you could possibly have motivated the man to do as you described. Why on earth would this fellow have wanted to blow end to the gas pipe work where he lived? There's only one possibility I can think of, and that is to use the leaking gas to commit murder. Aw, shit. Order! Order! Counsel, precisely whose life do you propose this man was trying to end? The answer couldn't be simpler. Now that we've unraveled the mystery this far, Mr. Shakespeare wanted to end the life of... Not me.
Take that.
If a gas lamp were to go out... Oh shit, almost spilled my drink. Jesus Christ. It would be noticed immediately, of course. But a gas stove, on the other hand, could be silently extinguished by the killer without anyone noticing. I live around those parts myself, so I know what it's like, yeah. I can tell you, trying to sleep without the stove is pretty much suicide. You'd freeze to death in no time. Mr. Garrett, the landlord, has a large fireplace in his part of the residence on the top floor. In other words, it wasn't the landlord, but a fellow lodger whose life Mr. Shakespeare is trying to end. Outrageous! I'm talking, of course, about the defendant. Mr. Natsume isn't the villain in this case. He's the victim this man was trying to murder! Good God!
Objection.
The accused is actually the aggrieved. Interesting. However, the fundamental facts of the case remain unchanged. Namely, that the accused is the aggressor here. What? How can you still claim that? Because I can. Now shut up, listen. Let's indulge your fancies for a moment and assume there was indeed poison on the mouth of the gas pipe. How can you claim that? Because I said so, bitch. Now, the question that then arises is who put it there, huh? Who did put it there? The only logical conclusion is that the person responsible was aware of this man's trickery with the gas supply and his intent to kill. Yes, that would indeed seem logical. If the assailant were unaware, how would he have known to have laced the end of the gas pipe with poison? So now we must ask, How could anyone have known of Mr. Shamspeare's murderous designs?
You mean to suggest a... Naturally, the sole possible answer to that question couldn't be more obvious. Only the man whose life was being threatened could possibly have known.
What?
In other words, the person who put the poison on the gas pipe in what was a clear retaliatory attack can only have been the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Whatever Mr. William Shamspeare may or may not have contrived to do, he was nevertheless the victim of the potentially lethal poison attack. And the only person who could possibly have perpetrated that attack is the accused, Mr. Natsume. Bing, 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 wahoo. The defense counsel's theorizing has failed to avert suspicion from the accused. Far from it. In fact, now that a clear motive for the poisoning has been successfully established, that suspicion is greater than ever. Would you not agree, my Nipponese friend?
Shit!
How did he manage to turn that around on me so rapidly? Oof.
Shinohara Hoda, you must respond. Otherwise, the members of the jury may very well change their leanings against us again. And this may be our last chance to gain the advantage.
What advantage?
Well, it would seem that somebody put poison on the gas pipe in Mr. Shamspeare's room. So we must name that person now and absolve Mr. Natsume of guilt.
You mean name the true culprit?
I know it might sound impossible. I have no doubt Mr. Natsume's fate will be sealed once and for all.
As it happens, one possible culprit does come to mind. The evidence of the poison. Oh shit, I was about to say, who is it? But then, like, the word poison, like, fucking conked me over the head, and it's like, oh shit. The prosecution calls for the jury to consider their leanings again. I trust you'll make the correct choice this time, Mr. Foreman. What? Oh, don't you worry, we know exactly what... Bum. Bum. There is one other person who I believe could have been involved in all of this. The true culprit of this crime. The true culprit? A term found only in second-rate novels featuring third-rate great detectives. My Nipponi's friend. But why not? This farce has gone on for long enough already. I see no reason to cut it short before its disappointing climax. Thank you. Tell us, my learned Nipponi's friend, what is your latest theory? Who is the so-called true culprit of this crime? Oh, I hate to say it, but it's looking that way because it's the only one we know about with poison. Actually, no, I convict you, motherfucker. Wait! As a result of gas poisoning, furthermore...
Take that!
The name of the person responsible for the poison that afflicted Mr. Shamspeare is, I believe, Miss Olive Green. Miss Olive Green. Miss Olive Green. I do feel as though I've heard that name in the recent past, Counsel, but I don't recall where. Miss Olive Green, the woman from 6 days ago. The victim in the recent case of stabbing on Briar Road. An incident for which Mr. Natsume was arrested, I hasten to add. Oh, of course, yes, Miss Green. She was left comatose for some 3 days, I believe. I hear she regained consciousness 2 days ago. And I hardly need remind the court that Mrs. Shamspeare's poisoning took place 3 days ago. Given that the woman was lying comatose in a hospital bed at the time, she appears to have a rather fine alibi. True. On the night that the incident occurred, Miss Green was in hospital, unconscious. So on the face of it, it would seem that she couldn't possibly be responsible, but still. My colleague and I visited Miss Green in hospital yesterday. We found her to be in possession of a bottle of poison. Good gracious, she had poison. And there's another fact that links Miss Green to this case as well. The defense requests that she be brought to the witness stand in order to explain the details to the court. Tell me, Mr. Shamspeare. My lord, pray, what be thy bidding? Are you acquainted with Miss Green? No, never heard of her. Judging by a look at Mr. Shamspeare's face, I think perhaps he genuinely doesn't know her. At least, not by name. As the voice of Her Majesty's prosecution here, I adhere to my word. We will see my learned Nipponese friend's farce through to its conclusion. I appreciate that. The prosecution requests a short recess, my lord, in order to subpoena the witness and bring her here. Yes, Miss Olive Green. Indeed, my lord. 1 hour should be sufficient. Very well, I grant the request. Excellent. I hope. The defense has made a most extraordinary accusation, I must say, but at the present time, I feel the prosecution's argument remains largely uncontested. Accordingly, I'm afraid the defendant and his culpability remain the sole subject of this court's attention. Thank you, counsels. We reconvene in 1 hour. Court's adjourned. Aw, shit. Aw, shit. I think this is gonna be the last section, though. I have a feeling. Unless they do a fucking first case in the first greatest attorney thing, where it's like massive, and I might have to cut. I don't know. We will see, though. Let's fucking go. Joyful, jubilant, jumping jacks!
Oh, Mr. Natsume, I'm so pleased for you.
Locum sum Mr. Norodo, Esquire, and non-locum judicial assistant Miss Mikutoma, Esquires. Now, finally, at long last, there can be proof. Proof that I'm innocent, and proof that my tea is innocent.
Ah, good morning, my dear fellows.
Ah! Airlock Sholmes! May you drink my tepid tea and fall forever silent.
I thought the tea was innocent.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you came! How wonderful!
Ah, please, save your derision. I know what you're all thinking. Good morning, he says, when it's very nearly time for luncheon. Your scorn is written clearly across all your faces. Nobody said or thought anything of the sort. The truth is, I was determined that today would be the day. As sleep seduced me last night, I thought, tomorrow, for once, I shall not oversleep. I'll rise early and be present in court to support my companions. Such spirited determination has a beauty all its own, does it not?
Oh, yes!
Then I began to muse on the subject. Why do people oversleep? I queried. Why time after time do they make the same foolish blunder? And the answer came to me at once. So delightfully simple. People oversleep because they sleep. Well, is that not an astute insight into the matter?
Oh, yes.
Upon which realization, I attempted an experiment. I didn't sleep a wink all night. And the results? By first night, I was exhausted and began to be assailed by fits of drowsiness. Shocking. And so the conclusion of last night's experiment is this. A good night's sleep is quite simply essential. Yeah, I think most of us probably knew that already. What others presuppose, I prove by experimentation. That, my dear fellow, is a scientific method. Ah, yes, and one more thing. Do you remember this?
Ah!
Yeah, of course. It's the poison Miss Green was about to drink at the hospital yesterday. Oh, you didn't manage to... It was a laborious task because the bottle was near empty, but such inconveniences do not hinder shows. I managed to confirm that it contains strychnine. So I was right. Perhaps, though of course such circumstantial evidence doesn't prove Miss Green's guilt. I shall leave the bottle in your care now, but licking the inside of the neck is not recommended. Traces of slow-acting poison strychnine inside. Could I have a word? Ah, can I have a word?
Gregson, how good of you to come.
Forget it. Excuse me.
Wait a minute, Inspector!
I don't wish to make a nuisance of myself. From the look on your face, I'd say it's someone else who you think is making a nuisance of himself.
My dear Inspector, please speak freely. Pretend that I'm not here.
Believe me, if I could do that, life would be a whole lot simpler for me.
Do you have the results, Inspector?
Of the investigation of Mr. Shakespeare's room? Not yet. Shouldn't be long now, though. Oops, wrong button. No, I'm here about something else. That dead convict, actually. Oh, you mean the man from the newspaper article we discovered yesterday in Mr. Shakespeare's room? A man by the name of, yes, Selden. I went through the archives of the yard and dug out the fellow's file. There's something in there that, well, it caught my eye.
Something caught your eye? What, Inspector, what?
I've copied out the relevant parts for you. You can read it yourselves.
Thank you.
The capital offenders file, the newspaper article about them dying of illness in prison. These documents, yeah, let's read them now. 16 counts of burglary, 6 counts of suspected murder. Died of natural causes whilst in prison. His final moments witnessed only by his cellmate. The estimated 1,000 pounds of worth of loot he stole remains unrecovered. Oh, and then it's just the article again. Okay. Anyway, that's
Uh-oh.
yeah, that's a lot. Bum, bum, bum. Ba-na. Also, should I investigate the poison thing just to be sure? Just to see if there's anything on it. Boop. This is the poison we've been hearing so much about. Strychnine. There are a few remnants on the bottom of the bottle here. Look. You mustn't be tempted to try it. Of course not, as long as we don't lose this trial.
No, even if we lose the trial. No, we mustn't lose the trial in the first place, Mr. Naruhodo.
Make your mind up, Susato-san. Jeez. These documents include the details that were in the newspaper cutting we found in Mr. Shakespeare's room.
I'll rearrange everything in the court record so we don't have duplicate information.
Why are you giving us a copy of this important file, though? Well, you're the ones who turned up the clue in the first place, aren't you? I'm just making sure things get handled in the proper fashion.
Oh, Scotland Yard's workings are so wonderful.
Indeed, my dear fellows, the inspector here is a shining diamond in its crown. Shining diamond in the rough, maybe. Look, I just don't want to be beholden to a lawyer, that's all. Goodbye. I'm about to Mario 64 teleport out of here. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Blah, blah, blah. Court proceedings are about to resume. Make your way into the courtroom at once. Well, I shall leave you then. I'll be listening with interest from the public gallery. Not nodding off at all, certainly not. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. I'm rather tired of seeing Mr. Mustache in floods of tears personally, so the best of luck to you.
Look up soon, Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire.
Yes, Mr. Natsume?
It's time, isn't it?
Yes, this is it.
This is it, Luigi.
Miss Olive Green and Mr. William Shakespeare. This is going to be the final battle. I won't really have saved Soseki-san until I've exposed the whole truth of everything. But it's all coming to a head now. You can do it, Ryunosuke. You have to. Alright, let's fucking go. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again now. Before the recess, we heard a most startling accusation from the defense. Namely, that the victim of the case we heard here only a few days ago is the true perpetrator of this incident. A reckless, rash, and prejudiced charge of wrongdoing, in my opinion, my lord. However, the prosecutor has tried to extend their recurse to this amateur newcomer from his dubious eastern shores. Thank you for that backhanded consideration. A rather cold assessment from the Honourable British Prosecutor, I must say. I mean, is it really? I mean, come on, like really. It's been known I'm racist. We've been new. So, Lord Van Zeeks, is this new witness ready and present to take the stand? Ready and waiting in the witness's antechamber, my lord. Very well. Bailiff, bring the witnesses in. Aw, shit. Well. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court, please. William Shakespeare, my liege. For mine occupation, I can only say that I be a tragic victim to be pitied. Currently unemployed, in other words.
I'm Olive Green. I'm a fledgling artist. Well, no. Not a fledgling, really. A hopeless failure who's too weak-spirited to admit she has no talent, I suppose.
Also currently unemployed, in other words. What a coterie? Coterie? How do you say that, eh? Let me look that up. Hey, Google. Coterie? Okay. What a coterie. Mr. Shakespeare, my lord, I am thy humble servant. I'm afraid that you are no longer merely the victim in this affair. The possibility has been raised that you are in fact the assailant, intent on taking the life of your fellow lodger. The part which you have played in this whole business will be thoroughly scrutinized, I assure you. I would for naught else, my lord. And Miss Green.
Yes?
You're aware of the reason you have been summoned to this courtroom today, I presume?
Yes, the officer did explain. He said I poisoned this ridiculous buffoon.
And? Did you accept the charge, Miss Green?
I don't know anything about poisoning. And I don't know anything about this man.
I don't know anything about poisoning, she says, before drinking poison.
Come, lady, die to live. Verily, I know not thy prickly pea-pigmented personage.
Very well, let us proceed with the matter at hand. That being to ascertain whether or not Miss Green has any involvement in this affair.
It's all very strange indeed. Why would you suspect me? I barely ever go to the East End anyway. It so happens I passed by that neighborhood 6 days ago. That's all. And on the night that man was poisoned, I was still in the hospital fighting for my life.
Yes, having unfortunately caught up in the incident on the outside of the streets of the Gardeb incident, yes. An incident that rendered you unconscious for some, what was it, 3 days? Way to go, buddy. It took us 3 days to wake this woman out of her coma. 3 days!
I was struck in the middle of my back by a knife, though, but no fault of my own. And now I'm under suspicion? What other irrelevant things might I be suspected of? It's all very disturbing.
Your energies may be better spent worrying about random knife attacks, I feel, Miss Green. At this point in time, all that appears to connect you with Mr. Shakespeare's lodgings is the Briar Road incident of 6 days ago. That's why we would like you to formally testify now about exactly what happened. What happened?
Oh no! The incident 6 days ago? You mean you want me to really relive that awful incident?
Unfortunately, yes. Please tell the court what happened on that day. And of course, we'll be interested to hear from you about your movements that day too, Mr. Shamspear. But what happened 6 days ago has nothing to do with me being poisoned. Let us proceed then. The witnesses will present their formal testimonies to the court. And on the subject of the incident that took place on Briar Road on the evening of the 17th of February.
It was 6 days ago, at about 5 p.m. I was walking along the snow when I was suddenly stabbed in the back. Coincidentally, it happened to be just outside the house where the men in this case have their lodgings.
I was at the tavern of the eve which thou speakest, for I had bespoke my supper.
It was the first time I'd been in the area. I had a little matter to attend to, that's all. Anyway, I was admitted straight to the hospital, so I knew nothing about all of this business.
Yes, a second incident inside a week at what I believe to be aptly described as the haunted lodgings. Ooh, One can only presume this is a most unfortunate coincidence. Meanwhile, you say you were not in your room, Mr. Shamspear. 'Twas the following morn when I did awaken from I learned of the dire events. Mary, what a commotion did the officers of the law make the floor above mine. When Soseki-san was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. I suspected there was nothing connecting these two witnesses but happenstance. It's true, it does seem as though they're unrelated at first glance, but I'm not so sure. There's something lurking in the shadows here. I feel certain of it. And this is my one and only chance to expose it. Expose them! Expose them! Counsel, you may now cross-examine these two witnesses if you wish. Yes, my lord!
It was 6 days ago at about 5 p.m. I was walking along the snow when I was stabbed in the back. Coincidentally, it happened to me just outside the house when the men had the house on the lodgings. I was at the tavern of the eve which thou speakest, for I bespoke my supper. It was the first time I'd been in the area. I had a little matter to attend to, that's all.
Yeah, that's right, you had the slug thing. What little matter, Miss Green? Please elaborate.
It was nothing really, it's not worth mentioning. If you remember, you mentioned it to us yesterday at the hospital.
It was related to the card you were holding. Miss Green!
What was that? She clearly just hid something.
From memory, I believe the card contained a note that read, I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross.
What does that matter? This has nothing to do with Duncan.
On God.
Excuse me.
Mr. Shamspear, you have something to share with the class?
To be or not to be, that is the question.
Ah, pray forgive me, the great Bar's word springeth from within me with ne'er a thought.
Don't tell me it's because you're possessed by Shakespeare's spirit, right?
God, I hope not. I don't think Shakespeare would want to be inside this clown. Could have phrased that better, but you get what I mean. Hearing Miss Green's words a moment ago seemed to make you think of something. Something of relevance, perhaps? Nay, sire, 'twas nothing at all. Presumably you know the name, though, Mr. Duncan Ross, I mean. After all, you were both lodgers in the same house. I would it were so, but sadly, nay. Lodging be a lonely occupation, sire. My lodging fellows be rarely known to me. So you haven't heard of him, even though he passed away in a room just one floor above yours? Miss Green.
Me, my lord? Have I done something wrong?
I think Shakespeare loved seeing a guy get dunked on his entire life. Okay, fair point, fair point. The card that was mentioned before, containing the note. Do you have it upon your person?
I do, yes, but I don't need it anymore. In fact, I should throw it away, really.
Before you dispose of it, the court will take it as evidence, please. Of course, that's what links Mr. Shakespeare and Miss Green. Let me examine that before I forget. The envelope has been ripped open rather carelessly, hasn't it? Miss Green strikes me as the type to open correspondence more neatly than that. Ah, what is it? The way the envelope is torn, I'm almost sure I've seen that exact same shape somewhere else. Yep, we realized this earlier. Oh, well, I realized that earlier. They didn't realize it because they weren't like connecting the dots. They were busy worrying about the suicide about to happen. Were you thinking of this piece of evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? Exactly, that's it. Try to match them up. Ba-da-ba-da. They go together perfectly. The torn off end of the envelope clearly belongs with this card. The envelope fits perfectly with the torn off piece found at the scene of this crime. Hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. Nothing else? Okay. That's what links Mr. Shakespeare and Miss Green. It's Duncan Ross. Now continue with your testimony, please, Miss Green. Bum, 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 bum. Straight to the hospital, so I knew nothing about all this business. It was the first time I've been in the area. I was at the tavern of the eve of which thou speakest, for I bespoke my supper.
Hold it!
I wanted to look at that as well. A tavern, you say? Which one? 'Twas the Slug and Salad where I did tarry. 'Tis a jewel in the East End. And a little unexpected, I feel. Didn't he say it was going to like a grub thing before or something? Not the Slug and Salad? Whatever. What do you mean, Lord Van Zeeks? The Slug and Salad offers unusually fine dining, for a locality at least. Not an establishment you expect to be patronized by a man with not even a crumb of bread in his room. He did not get this bread, as one might say.
It's true. The menu lists premium crusted bread and glasses of water and different levels of cloudiness.
I would have expected Grubb's Grubbery in the local vicinity. Yeah, that was the name, to be more appropriate for your means. Watery soup and mushy peas, or rather, soupy water and pea-like mush. All equally appetizing. I just wanted to try some water in a different pub for once. What's wrong with that? How different can water really be? I mean, you'd be surprised considering whatever the fuck Dasani does to make theirs so detestable. God. Or perhaps there's a more plausible explanation. A specific reason why he had to go to that particular establishment. Agreed. The fact that on that day of all days, he dined at a place he wouldn't normally. It does stand out. So Mr. Shakespeare's own actions on the day of the incident 6 days ago were slightly suspicious. Well, we have some evidence that can explain those actions. I mean, we found the envelope end in his room, so... Mr. Shakespeare?
Yes, sire.
On the day in question, is it not the case that you visited the Slug and Salad, a place you don't normally patronize, for a very particular reason?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Pray, if thou hast some purpose, speakest! Very well, I will present the court with evidence. Evidence that explains why you had to be at the Slug and Salad that day. Namely, I believe this torn off piece of envelope reveals the answer, because it fits together perfectly with the envelope of the card that was submitted into evidence earlier. Good lord, Miss Green's card, you mean? That's right, my lord. It reads, I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th. Yep. Don't tell anyone else about the letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance. Mr. Shakespeare, your actions on the afternoon of Miss Green's stabbing are exactly as described in this note. Personally, I find it hard to believe that's a coincidence. Don't you, Mr. Shakespeare?
Excuse me, can I say something?
Yes, Miss Green?
The card was delivered to me. It doesn't have anything to do with this odd man, does it?
Well, you think so, yeah, but it's hard to believe it's merely,
My lord, may I?
What may you want, Miss Green?
I'd like to make something very clear about that card.
Very well, then, you may amend your testimony to include details about the peculiar note.
This note was delivered to my address. It's nothing to do with the odd man here next to me. Then why the fuck was it in his room? The day before the incident, exactly 1 week ago now, this note was delivered to your address. Upon carrying out the instructions in the note, you found yourself in hospital. Yes, I did. It was terrible, everything that happened to me.
Yes, it is terrible. If it's all true, that is.
What do you mean?
Miss Green, have a look at this, please. It's a torn off end of an envelope.
Oh, is it?
And it so happens that it fits together perfectly with the envelope of the note you just received.
Where did you find that?
In Mr. Shamspeare's room.
In my room?
Mr. Shamspeare, do you perhaps remember this note from somewhere? Your actions that afternoon follow the instructions in the note through the letter. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th. And so that's exactly where you went. Let me ask you again, Mr. Shamspeare. You already knew about this note, didn't you? And you, Miss Green.
What did I do?
As this torn off end of the envelope proves, the note was originally in Mr. Shamspeare's room. So how is it that it came to be in your possession?
I don't have the first idea. I'm just a fledgling artist after all.
There's only one explanation. You broke into Mr. Shamspeare's room and stole it. You did what? Sorry, thou hast what? Thou were in my room? What on earth do you want with me? It would seem that both witnesses need to testify again. Miss Green.
Yes?
Whilst you have the court's sympathy, I'm sure, for suffering you have endured in recent events, anyone found to be giving false testimony in a court of law will be duly punished. Please bear that in mind.
Yes, I know.
Very well then, witnesses. You may give formal testimony now on the subject of this curious anomaly regarding the note Miss Green claims to have received.
Witness testimony.
I do remember now, just a week ago, peradventure, that note was delivered unto me. On the day with therein I did tarry a long hour at the Slug and Salad, yet nobody came. Thereafter, on the evening I shared the company of the Japanese fellow, I did see the note had vanished.
I don't know what you mean. You think I snuck into this man's room, do you? Why would I? I can point out the villain here, and as for that torn off piece of the envelope, I don't know anything about it.
You now claim to have received this letter, do you, Mr. Shamspeare? Faith, 'tis so, my lord. And I would swear to have set it upon the table in my humble lodgings. Yet, 'tis clear to me now, since I returned from the tavern that night, I have not laid eyes upon it. The voice is getting very, it's getting very, I don't have a, succinct way of saying this. Voice cracky now, and I feel like that fits. Well, that being the case, young lady, it would appear your testimony was
A lie? Is that what you think? How unfair of you to think I'm the one who's lying.
I beg your pardon?
I'm just a fledgling artist, as I said, and fledgling artists don't lie. And it was delivered to me at my address. Besides, we all know who the liar around here is.
If that's true, Miss Green, how do you explain the facts? This part of the envelope was, without question,
I don't see why I should explain.
sorry.
I'm a fledgling artist. My job here is just to say what happened, that's all.
Funny how you were saying that you weren't a fledgling artist before and that you were a failure, but now when it befits you, now you start, accepting that title.
It's your job to give the explanations and the proofs. You, the fledgling lawyer.
The fledgling will do his best. Evidently, my learned friend's cross-examination is our only hope of learning the truth. Well, counsel? I'm ready, my lord. Very well, then. The defense will now proceed with the cross-examination of the witnesses.
Miss Green clearly did break into Mr. Shamspeare's room. There can be no question of that.
And that's how she acquired the note.
Yes, 2 facts are leading me to a very possible explanation for all of this.
Just to tell you what happens, not to explain what happened. Very solid reasoning. Alright, let's crack this testimony wide fucking open.
I do remember now, just a week ago, the note was delivered unto me. On the day within, I did tarry along out the slug and salad, yet nobody came. Thereafter, on the evening, I shared the company of the Japanese fellow I did. See, the note had vanished.
I don't know what you mean. You think I snuck into this man's room? Why would I?
Hold it!
Wait, shit! I think I'm wasting time here. I think I can just present. I don't think I need to press that. It seems that this note was actually delivered to Mr. Shamspeare about 1 week ago. It's been...
Oh, does it?
But for some reason, it ended up in your possession. I can't think of any way it could have happened except for you breaking into Mr. Shamspeare's lodgings. But for what reason would the witness have done that? I won't deny that Miss Green's possession of the note would appear to defy logic. However, until and unless her involvement in this case can be proven in some other way, any further pursuit of this note is meaningless.
Miss Green could have only come to be in possession of the note by stealing it from Mr. Shamspeare's room. And yet, there's no obvious reason why she would have done such a thing.
Well, if there are some other reasons she broke into his lodgings, though.
Yes, we should pursue that idea, Mr. Naruhodo.
We're close now. I can feel it. We're so close to a breakthrough. Hey, what about the poison?
Objection!
Yesterday at the hospital, we saw you with this bottle. And though the contents spilt during the course of our meeting, a small quantity remained. According to the defense's independent analysis, Mr. Sholmes' chemistry set, the liquid that was still in the bottle was identified as strychnine. What? Strychnine? The very same poison that afflicted Mr. Shamspeare? Miss Green, you broke into this man's lodgings for one reason and one reason alone. To cover the end of the pipe that feeds the gas lamp in Mr. Shamspeare's room with poison. Can this be? You broke into my room to... It may seem incredible to the court, but from the remaining clues, there's only one logical conclusion that we can reach. The person who attempted to take Mr. Shamspeare's life with poison was you, Mr. Olive Green. Miss Olive Green. Fuck, why did I say Mr.?
Oh, dear me.
Damn. Fucking wiped out. Order! Order! Counsel, are you seriously suggesting this woman put poison on the end of the gas pipe with the intent to kill? Yes, my lord. There's no other way to explain the facts. But if Miss Green did indeed set this odious trap 6 days ago, and the victim had put his mouth to the pipe that very evening as expected, the attempted murder would have happened 6 days ago, surely. Well, that's a very good point. Perhaps not, my lord. Oh? I beg your pardon? There was significant police presence in the area that evening on account of the incident on Briar Road. Local residents were being interviewed throughout the night as part of the ongoing inquiry. A circumspect criminal would have likely chosen not to carry out any wrongdoing at that time. Thank you.
Lord Van Zeeks. And of course, the following morning, there was more activity at Mr. Shamspeare's address.
More activity? Ah, yes! You mean his fellow lodger, Mr. Natsume, being arrested on suspicion of murder?
That's right. And as the defense has already proposed, Mr. Shamspeare is meddling with the gas in the pipe for a very sinister reason himself. To cause the gas stove in Mr. Natsume's room to go out, thereby asphyxiating the occupant.
But once Mr. Natsume had been arrested, his room was under constant surveillance by the police. In the circumstances, Mr. Shakespeare had no reason to blow air into the pipe. His intended victim being in a prison cell. With the need to tamper with the gas removed, the poison on the pipe lay dormant.
And then, 3 days ago now, the situation changed again.
Right! Mr. Natsume's trial, which took place here at the Old Bailey, came to an end. The trial in which the man stood accused of stabbing Miss Green in the back, but was duly acquitted. That resulted in Mr. Natsume returning to his lodgings for the first time in 2 days. And that very night, his gas stove mysteriously went out, and Mr. Shakespeare is mysteriously poisoned. In conclusion, the poison that was present on the mouth of the gas pipe had been put there in the victim's room some 4 days earlier. Mary! With that new understanding, it becomes clear that this letter was all part of the plan. What plan? The court will recall that the note gave instructions to visit the Slug and Salad at 5 o'clock, and that the recipient should tell nobody else. The reason for those instructions are now clear. To ensure that the lodger would not be at home at the slated time. To make sure I wasn't home? Exactly. While you were out, Miss Green could safely slip into your room, knowing that she wouldn't be disturbed. You mean to say that the letter was written by Miss Green? Yes. In order to cover her tracks, she took it away with her when she left. Just after she smeared poison over the mouth of the gas pipe in your room! Order! Order! What do you have to say for yourself, witness? Just who are you? Why'd you try to kill me? Miss Green's motive should be obvious. It's all tied up with someone whose name we've heard several times already during the course of this trial. So, that's what's behind all this. You will share your apparent understanding with the Culprit Council. Which person is behind this woman's motive for the attack on the victim's life?
Take that!
Her love, Duncan Ross. That's right. Before the defendant, Mr. Natsume, took up the residence in the lodgings at Mr. Garrideb's, somebody else was renting the room. Mr. Duncan Ross, formerly known as Alan Ross. I knew I'd heard the name somewhere else. It was all over the papers a month ago when the man died in strange circumstances at the haunted lodgings. That does ring a vague... of course, yes, I remember now. The young man they claim was strangled by the convict's curse or some such. Sadly, my lord, it wasn't a curse of any kind, nor was it an accident. The man died as a result of Mr. Shakespeare's blowing into the gas pipe and causing gas to leak into the room. It was murder, plain and simple. Duh!
Well, what do you know? The world is so unfair. Curses, curious deaths. That's all people care about. If it's an interesting story, they want to know. It doesn't cross their minds that real people are involved. And once they're bored, just 1 month later, once the story's lost its appeal, everyone's forgotten him. You mean Duncan was...
Mr. Ross was Miss Green's fiancé.
Fiancé?
You may not have known until now who Miss Green really is, Mr. Shakespeare. But she's known exactly who you are all along. Because you're her sworn enemy. The murderer who took the life of the man she was to marry. Marry? Miss Green, is it not the case that in order to exact revenge on Mr. Shakespeare, you smeared poison over the end of the gas pipe? Yeesh. There's really not a good look for anybody in this trial. Ugh. This is all quite extraordinary. Am I correct in my understanding that you now accuse both parties, counsel, each on different counts of murder? Yes, my lord. That's correct. Inhaling so deeply, it appears my fledgling learned friend has taken in a lungful of dubious gas that's causing his judgment to be clouded.
What?
Why would Mr. Shamspeare want to kill those lodgers, as you say? You have completely failed to provide a motive to substantiate your accusation against the man.
Yes, that's right, Mr. Reaper, my liege. I have been slighted. 'Tis lies, all lies, I deny every utterance.
And you'll have to forgive me, Mr. Naruhodo, sir. But I don't intend to admit to anything either. Miss Green, I'm sure you'll think I'm being very rude, but I'm not going to be sent to the gallows for the likes of this scoundrel.
But you broke into the man's room. If you didn't do it to smear poison on the pipe, what was your reason?
I thought I'd have to look around, that's all.
Sorry?
You're right, I suspected him. So I thought perhaps I might find some evidence or something in his room. Evidence that it was him who took Duncan's life.
Oh, vileness, oh, villainy, oh, tyranny, oh, rotundity of woman. Okay, let's not bring her weight into this, you fuck. I was starting to feel bad that she was trying to murder you, even if you tried to murder somebody else. But now you just fucking, God, fucking, ugh. In any case, whenever I leave any room, I do turn the key in the lock.
That whole place is falling apart. The locks on the doors are no different. Duncan showed me once how to unlock the door with some terps and a piece of wire.
What's a terp? Oh, awfulness, oh, awfulness, oh, tyranny, oh, profanity of woman. We will consider your trespassing on some future occasion. But for now, terp is a... That is definitely not what it was trying to do. That is definitely not what we were talking about. Can't find what it means. Oh, well. Oh, turpentine. Okay. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. Okay. Tell the court what you found. What evidence your search revealed.
Well, I spotted a note that I'd sent him lying on the floor. When I went to pick it up, I noticed something. One of the floorboards was loose, and underneath it I discovered a secret hiding place.
Yes, we also discovered that hiding place.
Inside we found a newspaper cutting, a photograph, and an empty tin box. Ah, yes, well, the thing is, when I found it, the box wasn't empty.
What? There was something in it?
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty then.
This rather nice key.
What are you doing with that?
What the? Every ounce of color is drained from his face.
Give it here! Give it to me now! It's mine! I inherited it!
What was that, witness? What did you say? You inherited it?
No, I,
What's all this about? He inherited that key? It was obviously important to you since you'd gone to such lengths to hide it. So I took it. I don't know what it's for, but you took something precious from me, so I took something precious from you. So what if it means you can't open something now? I don't care.
Give it back this minute! Give it to me!
Calm yourself, witness!
So Mr. Shamspeare has tried and in one case succeeded to take the life of 2 lodgers now.
Yes, his motive for doing so is the key to everything that's happened. Ha! Literally. It's true that there appears to be no motive to support the assertion against Mr. Shamspeare. At first. But considering everything we know now, I think there is actually something that could explain it. What? I need to recall every piece of evidence at our disposal. Everything we've seen and heard. Because I'm sure I just caught a glimpse of the link that runs through all of these events. In that case, counsel, I must demand that you present the evidence of the court in support of your claim. What is it that you say can explain the motivation for Mr. Shamspeare's alleged crimes? What has a lock? What has a lock? What has a lock? What has a... Wait. No, not yet. That too, actually. Wait! That could be it too, because of the loot! The loot, bitch! The loot!
Take that!
That's an official police report, is it not? The Selden file? How'd you get hold of that? I think his case is one of the weaker ones in the game, but these two are very good. Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I get why people want to like fucking squish Shamspear like the fucking fly on the wall he is. But like he's very entertaining. Green is also like just really like her motivation's good, character's good. I like them. These are good characters. The now sadly deceased Mr. Ross and the defendant Mr. Natsume have only one thing linking them. The fact that they had lodgings in the same room. Well, yes, we know this, certainly. A room that was formerly occupied by Selden. Until, that is, he was arrested by Scotland Yard for his involvement in multiple burglaries. I see. And it so happens that the convict Selden left behind one very substantial mystery when he died. The sum £1,000 worth of loot that he stole, which as yet remains to be found. Ah, yes, of course, it's coming back to me now. It's written on this file here. £1,000 lost en route to hell. That was how the papers summed it up. And it all seems this one particular fellow inmate was with the convict in his final moments. It's not hard to imagine Selden entrusting that inmate with his most closely guarded secret, the location of the stolen loot, and perhaps a key to unlock whatever container the valuables were in.
You mean this key is...
Mr. Shamspear, it was you, wasn't it? You were at the capital offender's side when he died, were you not? What are you talking about? This is a false charge, I tell you, a false charge! The name of the inmate who was with Selden at his death isn't noted in this file, but a simple telegram to the prison where he died would quickly tell us how false the charge really is. But even if it's true, why would the man be so intent on killing every subsequent occupant of the convict's lodgings? There's only one explanation, my lord. It was in that very room that Selden hid his loot. So, it all comes out. Yes, and having established that, all of Mr. Shamspear's subsequent actions start to make perfect sense. When he was let out of prison following Selden's death, he made immediately for Mr. Garadeb's lodgings in the hopes of renting Selden's old room. However, the retired army man was unable to offer him the accommodation of his choice, because Selden's old room had already been let to somebody else. Mr. Duncan Ross. Which is why Mr. Shamspear subsequently devised his gas-based plot to kill the occupants of the room, not to be confused with a gas cringe plot.
Van Zeke, what the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know. Something just came over me. And when he was successful, he presumably intended to inquire about switching into the newly vacant room. However, a certain jittery someone had beaten him to it. Mr. Soseki Natsume, the defendant of this case, no less. So, you decided to use the ploy with the gas again, didn't you, Mr. Shamspear? This time to oust Mr. Natsume. All for one simple and avaricious reason. To get your hands on the £1,000 of loot left behind by the dead convict.
Jury's being real silent right now.
Looks like I'm gonna snuff it before they get to stretch me neck. Listen, I want you to have me loot. Anything to stop the coppers getting their mitts on it.
It's in the room where I was lodging when they got me. Here, this is the key to it. Take it. Always stay one step ahead, mate. See you in hell, I guess. Shamspear.
Fuck. Christ.
It's mine. What did he just say? It's mine. That loot is mine.
Oh, somebody's looking worse for the wearer. Mr. Shamspear?
It's all lies! I don't accept any of it! Why should I? After all, you don't have a shred of evidence! You can't prove I killed that fellow! What's up? I'm the victim here, remember? Isn't that right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? If I don't admit to it, there's nothing you can do. You can't arrest me, for the time being anyway. Verily, you can't arrest the victim, can you? Isn't that right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? I'm so close. I need a few more hours. I swore to myself that I'd get my hands on it, and I can almost taste it now. Do you really think I just give up?
There's no question in my mind now. This man is guilty through and through. But he seems so utterly intoxicated by the idea of that loot. And intoxicated in other ways, too. I'm afraid that however hard you press him, he'll never admit to what he's done, Mr. Naruhodo. There is a way.
Pardon?
There's one way I can finish him.
No! Don't kill the man!
He's already committed the most heinous crimes to get his hands on that loot. Which means all we need to do is find it first. A fine plan. We're not for the fact that the police thoroughly searched for the room. Searched the room following the death of Mr. Ross. If it's there at all, it must be very well hidden indeed. Without conclusive evidence, I certainly cannot rule.
If only there was some way we could find the convict's loot quickly.
This is the final piece in this complex puzzle. But I think we might have it in our possession already. Or rather, I think we may well have something that can help us find where that loot is hidden. My lord. Yes, counsel. The defense would like to make a proposal about how we find the late convict's hidden loot. I believe we are already in possession of something that could give us a clue as to its whereabouts. It's our last chance, so it has to be worth a gamble. Besides, we've used the same technique once already. It definitely paid off then. Very well then, counsel. Let's hear your idea. What do you propose we can use in order to locate the hiding place of the deceased convict's haul? Let me reread that, actually. I'm sure it's not in here. Yeah, no, it's not. Okay. I just wanted to make sure and double sure is all. Okay. Let me look here again. That told him to go to the place, though, is the thing, yeah? My mind goes to the handprints again. Weirdly enough, now that I've scrolled through everything. But he was doing that for the gas. Yeah, worth a shot. If I'm not mistaken, those are Mr. Shamspeare's handprints on the wall of his lodgings. That's right, my lord. Exposes the result of the defense's independent investigation of the scene. Based on a wonderful new discovery in the field of forensic science by the great detective, Mr. Sholmes. A great detective? Is that some kind of joke? Do you really think I'm going to be daunted by a man with such a ridiculous title? I should think the great bard ought to recognize such a... title when he hears of Mr. Shamspeare. Hey, there he is! Perhaps we should compete for the honor of most ridiculous title. Duh! It is Herlock Sholmes himself! What are you doing here, great detective? Your usual haunts are filthy back streets of the capital, are they not? Ah, Mr. Reaper, it's been far too long, and I see your complexion has worsened since we last met. Mr. Sholmes? He does know Lord Van Zieks then. Well enough to say something like that in any case. Mr. Sholmes! Though you may be heralded as a great detective by the population at large, that does not give you the right to come and go in my courtroom as you see fit.
If I may, my lord.
Mr. Sholmes' newly developed scientific method has helped us to uncover vital clues in this case already. Clues, you say? I call them skin prints, my lord. My method identifies every location touched by an individual under scrutiny. It's the method by which we were able to ascertain this gentleman's gas pipe activities. Duh! You need only a small sample of something the individual has previously touched to make it indicate a solution. In your case, sir, use the teacup you had been holding. Elementary.
So now, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? What am I to use as a sample to make the indicator solution this time? Thank you for offering the help, Mr. Sholmes. When the convict was arrested, he was living in what is now Soseki-san's room. We need a sample to locate Selden's loot. What form will that sample take? We will need something of Selden's in order to create the indicator solution to find his loot. And something the convict owned happens to be in possession of somebody listed on the court record. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo, your powers of reasoning appear to be on the up. So, which particular person do you have in mind? From whom can we obtain a possession of the late convict Selden and create the indicator solution? I mean, yeah. I would say it's her, yeah? Yeah. Let me save just to be sure, but yeah, I would say it's probably her because she has the key, right? Miss Green.
Me? What do you want with me?
The key around your neck, if you please.
So sorry?
That key belonged to Selden. There will be remnants of secretions from the man's skin on its surface that we can use. Very true. That is the sample we need. And using it, we can create the indicator solution required for Mr. Sholmes' skin print seeker. And find out exactly what Selden touched in the room they used to rent. Ah! Mr. Shamspeare, there's one great to another, I assure you. If the late convict's haul is hidden somewhere in his former lodgings, I shall uncover it in no more than 30 minutes. So, Mr. Shamspeare, the truth is well within our grasp now, and as such, you will never get your hands on Selden's stolen wealth. In that case, I'll gladly let Mr. Sholmes have this key. No! Give the key to me! The detective should have it! It's over, Mr. Shamspeare. No. You're out of options now. There's only one thing left for you to do. Admit your guilt! Whoa. Oh, shameful spear! Despair! Be thy name! Death. I never intended to kill the man. I just wanted to drive him out of the room, that's all. So you'd have time to find the convict's haul of stolen goods. Yet after you'd killed the young man, you still didn't move into the room. I asked the landlord, of course. I pleaded with him, but he refused. Why? I was there months behind with the rent, for one thing. Mr. Garadeb really has a lot to put up with. And he had the gas repair work done immediately afterwards, putting the room out of action for a while. And then this Japanese man swooped in at just the right time to sign the new lease. Poor Mr. Natsume. What unfortunate timing. Then, 5 days ago, after the incident on Briar Road when the Japanese fellow got himself arrested, I thought I'd finally have my chance, but it wasn't to be. No, the scene was sealed off and guarded by the police night and day. And if I remember rightly, Mr. Sholmes spent the whole day in there reading books. I couldn't even enter the room, let alone search for the loot. Which is why, on the day Mr. Natsume was acquitted, you once again tried your trick of blowing air into the gas pipe that feeds the stove in his room. Unbeknownst to you, however, that action would indeed lead you into a deadly trap. William Shamspeare, how does it go? To be or not to be? That is the question. From Shakespeare's Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1. Well, let me tell you, in your case, it's not to be. That is the answer. You deserve to die for what you've done. Shit! Get him, girl!
At first, I really did think it was just a terrible accident. I'll never forget our conversation the night before Duncan died. The gas supply in my new lodgings are a complete disaster, you know, Olive. The gas supply? Yes, the stove always seems to go out in the middle of the night for some reason. That's no joke. They say it's the convict's curse. Oh, Duncan, please, don't stay there. I don't care how cheap it is. All right, then, if it's that important to you, I'll start looking for a new place. There's spare rooms at my house. Why don't you leave that horrible room tonight? No, I'd better not. We said we'd wait until we graduated before we told our parents, remember? But that was the last time we ever spoke. That very night, he fell victim to the gas. If I'd only known it was going to happen, I'd have insisted he left that horrible room that instant. But instead, all I've been left with is bitter regret. I stopped going to school, but something kept drawing me back to the house on Briar Road. I saw a stooped-looking Easter man with a mustache coming out of the house one day when I was there. He walked up the road to Grub's Grubbery for some food, so I followed him and sat myself down next to him. He had some watery-looking soup and started to pick a quarrel with the publican.
This place is cursed, I tell you! Cursed! The ghost of that convict who used to live there is trying to suffocate me! I wake up in the middle of the night, freezing to death because the stove has gone out. The room is full of gas and I can hardly breathe. Well, the pipes have been checked, no problem there. It's like I'm the problem!
But how could that be? Duncan was gone, and now the man had almost suffered the exact same fate. Could it really be a curse? Then I remembered. A rumor I'd heard about how the gas companies go around investigating the gas installations.
A rumor? Ah, you mean...
Yes, everybody's heard the stories, it seems, about how they go around checking the pipes.
How anything connected to the gas can be extinguished by blowing air into the pipework, yes.
That's when it started. A little flicker of doubt in the back of my mind that just wouldn't go away. Was it really an accident, though? Once I had the idea, it wouldn't leave me alone. It plagued me day and night. So I bought this at one of the black markets in the East End. Black market? I'd never been. I just heard people talk about them. You really can buy anything you can think of there. In some ways, being able to get my hands on this so easily made me even more determined. I had to find my way out one way or another. Was Duncan's death an accident, or was it murder?
And your chosen method for establishing the truth was simple, but highly effective. Smear poison on the gas pipe you suspected the man of tampering with, and wait. If Mr. Shamspeare was innocent, nothing would come of what you've done. But if he was guilty, he would pay for his crimes dearly.
Rabble, 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 rabble. I found out the name of the man I suspected, William Shamspeare, and I wrote this little note. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to a Slug and Salad at 5 p.m. Don't tell anybody about the letter or the meeting. It's a matter of utmost importance. If he'd done it, I knew that would worry him enough so he'd be sure to go. So I waited to see if it worked.
And of course, Mr. Shamspeare followed the instructions to the letter.
I worked out where the gas pipe was straight away. So I smeared a good amount of the poison I've brought all over the mouth of the pipe. All the time praying that the devil's work wouldn't be done. That was all some wild fantasy.
I have seen some people point out the gas inspectors came to blow on the pipes first, they'd die instead.
Yep. Actually, no. All the time praying that the devil's work should be done, and that the culprit would get his just desserts.
God damn.
3 days ago, when you were first stood in the dock before me, this whole affair seemed relatively straightforward. Yes, my lord. I certainly never imagined the depths of depravity that we should subsequently find lurking behind the scenes. It has been a long road, my Nepalese friend. Oh, yes! And one I certainly didn't envisage walking with you. Nevertheless, together we have reached the light at the end of the tunnel, as it were. Miss Green,
Yes, my lord.
you will henceforth be stripped of your freedom as punishment for the attempted murder of William Shamspeare.
Yes, I know.
And you, Mr. Shamspeare, you will be tried for the murder of Mr. Duncan Ross in cold blood, and a subsequent attempted murder of Mr. Soseki Natsume here present.
Mr. Naruhodo? Ah, yes? Yesterday at the hospital, when you and your friend stopped me from ending your life by drinking what was left in the poison bottle, I wasn't myself. I can't even really remember what was going through my mind. To be or not to be, I suppose. That's a question that's so hard to answer, it seems. Well, personally, I'm glad of your being here, Miss Green. Oh! And I'd like to believe that it's a blessing Mr. Shamspeare didn't die when he ingested the poison. For your sake, at the very least. Aww. Because of you, I chose life, not death. And now you've made the truth come out at last. Really, I can't thank you enough. Oh, Miss Green.
Mr. Soseki Natsume.
Yes, my lord.
The court declares that you are exonerated from all blame in this matter. Accordingly, I will call upon the ladies and gentlemen of the jury to present a verdict of not guilty. We are in full agreement, my lord. In that case, I hereby declare the defendant not guilty. Let's go. Wait, why are some of the jury still black on their seats? If they said they agree, never mind, whatever. Who cares? It's a technicality. Court is adjourned.
Oh, yes. Yes, at last. Divine justice duly done.
Divine justice? My dear fellow, if there were any divine justice in this world, you would shave that mustache.
No! This has nothing to do with my mustache.
Some say a luxuriant mustache is a sign of physical prowess, Mr. Sholmes.
Look up soon, Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. Once again, you've saved me from doom.
I'm very happy to have been able to help, Mr. Natsume. Congratulations on your acquittal. You're second in almost as many days.
I was first acquainted with and gained affection for English literature while in our great homeland empire. And then, by a twist of fate, I was brought to the land that bore the fruit of that literature. Only, the city of bricks and mortar became my prison. Try as I might, I never found my feet here. In the end, I confined myself to my room and lived life through friendly old books.
You've had such a difficult time, haven't you?
But a week ago now, I dragged you out of that dark and dingy room of yours, did I not? You did, and I've seen more life in this week than in all my years to date. For the first time, I feel I've begun to see the true face of the English that's been so far been hiding from me behind the wall of fog.
My dear fellow, there is nothing special about the true face of the English. As you put it, wheresoever one goes in the world, humans are human. There are few genuine differences. If only everybody could think like that, Sholmes. God!
Yes, I think you're right. I finally started to see that, and I've come to understand something. I've worked out why I was attracted to English literature in the first place. It made me see that whatever our nationality, we humans all have the same hopes and fears. We're just doing our best to live.
Well said. I've come to feel the same way.
I've made a decision too. I'm going to cut short my study tour here. I'll return to Japan.
What? Just when we become friends here in England? What a terrible shame.
Oh, I know, that does tug at my heartstrings. It really does. But I've decided I'd like to take everything I've learned here in Britain and write something of my own. A novel of sorts, I suppose.
Oh my, so you'll be creating your own literature, Mr. Natsume? How wonderful!
Oh, well, no, I mean, I wouldn't presume to call it literature.
Why not? When that is precisely a definition, Mr. Mustache.
I suppose you're right, yes, in a way it will be literature. But as of now, all I know is that I would like to try my hand at writing. I've no delusions of grandeur.
I, for one, would love to read your work.
Well, all things considered, it may be for the best. After all, you have once again emerged victorious from a battle with the Reaper.
Duh!
That's very true. And there is no salvation for a person in a dock when the Reaper is the prosecutor.
Desire to return post-haste to the perceived safety of your homeland is one I quite understand.
My goodness, yes! Faced with such a terrifying prospect. Nobody would consider that cowardly, I'm quite sure.
But that's not why I'm leaving. I mean it.
And that was the case that we found ourselves embroiled in 6 months ago now. Joseki-san did indeed return to Japan and submitted a report about both cases to the government. It was on reading that report that Professor Mikotoba was prompted to visit the scholar. And barely any time later, Susato-san was given the news that she must return to Japan as well, on the back of a telegram stating falsely that her father had fallen gravely ill. The only possible explanation that comes to mind is what happened after the trial on the following day. The day that we uncovered the loot hidden by the now deceased convict in his former lodgings. Oh, well done, Mr. Sholmes. How simply marvelous of you to uncover the secret hiding place in just one day.
Wasn't supposed to take 30 minutes? As I believe I told you, my dear fellows, skin prints are extremely useful in such situations. Wouldn't you agree, Gregson?
Yeah.
Gregsy's been happily munching an agreement this whole time, you know, Hurley. Happily? I think perhaps humorlessly might be closer to the truth.
So, it transpires the man fashioned a hiding place in the ceiling. And what's in it? What exactly is the loot? Let us look then, if you're ready. Alright. What is that? It looks like some sort of neckband or collar. Huh. A collar? It's huge, though.
Look at all the gemstones in it. I could see why it was going to be worth 1,000 pounds. Perhaps I could have it as a belt.
Oh, if you notice on the inside there, there's some dark stains. You don't think it could be blood, do you? I mean, they're pretty red, and there's quite a lot of it.
On second thoughts, perhaps I won't have it as a belt. And of course, there's this emblem here. A large letter B and a small crown.
King B. Do we know any kings with B's? No. What does it signify, you think?
Oh, I hadn't noticed that. I feel as though I've seen that emblem somewhere before, but where could it have been?
That's enough of that, I think. What? What's the matter with Mr. Sholmes? Well, the color is drained from his face. Well, Inspector, I believe you ought to be taking this, oughtn't you? It could be valuable evidence, after all. It must be kept safe under lock and key. Ah, yes. Get your grubby hands off of that, you lot, and hand it over. Now! I'd never seen a collar that large before. And all those jewels certainly look to be extremely valuable. But that's not what stood out the most to me. At least not once I'd noticed it. Those dark marks on the inside of the collar, those stains. Could they really have been blood?
Well, that was a funny case, wasn't it? But it's all buttoned up now.
The last thing I'd use, well, Okay, not the last thing. There were a lot of funny moments, but God, the ending of the case has been like mysterious and harrowing and all that shit. So I wouldn't call it entirely funny, but yes, it is all buttoned up now. And you look very pleased, Iris.
I am, because I was starting to wonder what I could use as the basis of this month's story in the magazine. But this case will be perfect. It's been so fascinating.
You're talking about the latest installment of the Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, I presume.
The mystery of the knife in the mist, and the mustache man and the convict's curse, perhaps. I can make a two-part story. Oh, I can't wait.
This is the course reader. There's like nothing else. And there's fruit punch. No, yeah, it was blood. A word, please, Iris.
Yes, what is it, Hurley?
I'm sorry, but you can't write about this case. It's out of the question.
What? Why not? It's a great case.
Then I shall have to insist that you limit yourself to the first of your two titles. The second must never be written. Is that clear?
Yes.
Sholmes is fucking serious, boy.
So it was that the
Oh,
second
shit!
of Saul
Narration.
Citizen's cases became buried in obscurity. Now, looking back, I feel I understand. I can see why Mr. Sholmes forbade Iris from publishing the story. It would take a little longer before I saw the link between everything that had happened and would happen. For it wasn't until 2 months after the arrival of Susato-san's letter that events began to unfurl again, with an incident that took place at the very heart of the eagerly awaited Great Exhibition of London.
Aw, shit. There we go. And that is the end of that case. Oh boy, what a fucking stinger. The Key of Knowledge. Well, I think that's about it for me today. I'm gonna cut very quickly because, if you haven't noticed, frames have been dropping left and right this stream, and I kinda don't really want to prolong it any longer than I should because of that. So, thank you for coming, thank you for staying, thank you for watching the show. And I will see you back here again on Monday with more The Great Ace Attorney. But stay tuned on Sunday, we might have a short stream then. See you then.